What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode and live stream of Let's Get Nuts here on the Ben Thomas Show on Sunday afternoon. Guys, I have a really exciting panel of folks with me today. It's been 2 weeks since our last stream, so we're going to revisit a little bit of old news, but then we got lots of entertainment news to talk about. We got new hot toys to talk about, Hono brand, we're looking at Marilyn Monroe damn toys, Mondo figures, and of course the works. So guys, of course, stick around. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you can for me. And of course, with that being said, let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get nuts? You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts? You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Alrighty, let's get her started here. So actually, my brother had sent me a message the other day with a new Homer Simpson clip that he also says, let's get nuts. So I may have to add that into the intro as well. So shout out to my brother if you're watching here on the replay. But of course, it would not be a stream here on a Sunday if we didn't have to, dive into the money aspect of collecting and all of the things. And who better to talk about the money and the excitements and pitfalls and nothing burgers of collecting than Mr. Eddie Money Mendez. What's going on, Eddie? Good to see you here, buddy. How's things going for you lately?
Hey man, what's up? Happy to be here. Doing good. We got a 3-day weekend in the States, so today's technically my Saturday. So pretty happy about that. But just chilling, chill weekend, watching movies and hanging out, and yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. It actually feels like the first time in a while, from what I can recall anyways, that the Canadian long weekend falls kind of at the same time as you guys. So whenever you guys were talking about being excited for the long weekend, I'm like, oh, right. I have Monday off too. Hell yes. Nice. So I don't know what I'm going to do with my day. I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4 lately. Like I've dived right back into it. So when I get an opportunity, I'll do that. But it was funny because normally I send the boys the show sheet. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Jurassic Park. And Eddie showed up with a Jurassic Park shirt, and I was like, hey, very relevant. He's like, why? I'm like, why did I even send you the notes, Eddie? Okay, no homework required. Let's get nuts.
I like to go in purely unbiased, anything, everything
Fair.
On the fly.
Whatever Eddie says will be very fresh take.
Yes. Yeah.
Hell yeah, buddy. Well, happy to have you here, man, for sure, as always, on a Sunday. Wouldn't be a show without you. Next up. This gentleman, he's created his own extra live stream lately. And, in order for me to try and get myself invited at some point, I also need to bring him on Let's Get Nuts more occasionally. And he's one of our most affluent, one of our best spoken, one of the nicest guys out there in the community. We got Mr. Jay Feezy in the house with us, Feezy's Figures. How are you, buddy? How's it going?
Good, man. What is up, everybody? What's going on? Hope you're all having a good Sunday so far. And yeah, man. So far, the day's going pretty good. Like Eddie, I went to go see a movie earlier today, so it was off to a good start. I wanted to go see Twisters initially when it came out in D-Box. So that's Cinemark's version of Regal's 4DX, and so I had missed it. But I guess they decided to bring it back into those auditoriums with the D-Box seats, and so I went this morning, and yeah, man, it was fun. It added a whole another level to. They did a promotion where they cranked up the juice to like beyond capacity, and they gave you like harness straps to strap you in so they can talk. No, I just made that up. No, but it was fun. It was cool, man.
It was surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a cool experience though, man. It was fun. But yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the show. Yeah, it was
Twisters that you saw.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I told the PG one, not the adult version.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I told my girlfriend recently I wanted to take her to the D-Box, and I think she took it the wrong way, to be honest. So, but funny note though, when I went and saw Spider-Man: Far From Home, this is back when I was eating a little bit more chocolate, admittedly so. I've been off the chocolate lately, but I had brought a really large bag of chocolate mini eggs, Cadbury mini eggs, with me. And of course, you always show up a few minutes early, so like I wolfed down like, I don't know, a quarter of the bag maybe before the movie started. But then it was the D-Box seats where you're getting shaken around as Spider-Man, and I thought that'd be really fun. Dude, it gave me the worst fucking acid indigestion I've ever had. The whole 3-hour movie, I had this like burning feeling in my chest here. I had to turn the seat completely off. And yeah, I've never done that type of seating before. Otherwise, so good to know. Note to self: don't eat Cadbury mini eggs before the tea box. For sure, dude. Good to have you here. Was the movie good? No spoilers. Like you enjoyed it?
It was fun. I will say it's fun. It was a good watch in theaters. I wouldn't buy it, but it was definitely a fun time.
Fair. I rewatched the original Twisters with Helen Hunt actually a week or two ago, which honestly still held up as a pretty decent movie. I will give it that. So good to have you here, buddy. Let's move on. We have, of course, another fantastic panelist with us. Sometimes he gives us his hot takes. Sometimes he just shows up to have a fun conversation. Today he's going to be helping me a little bit out with the Mondo figures because he's got one in hand. And I think he's got some opinions on the next. Let's bring him in here. We got the Vintage Rebellion podcast, Mr. Chris. How are you, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it looks like Mondo's starting a little John Carpenter collection, and that is, I mean, I guess like they're a divisive line. You know, the first one was their first sort of photorealistic figure with McCready, and I got some interesting thoughts about it, and excited to dig into it a little bit, man.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Happy to have you here, of course, as always. I advertised that SpongeBob SquareBalls, Mr. Classy Thomas would be here. He's probably honestly fallen asleep in his massage chair, so he may or may not pop in with us later, let's be honest. But if you're out there, Classy, I hope you're doing well, buddy. I hope you're enjoying that sensual massage. Guys, let's get started with the show. I will address the chat here shortly. We've got over 20 people already watching live. Love to have you guys here with us. Thank you so much for being part of Let's Get Nuts every Sunday when we are here. I wanted to address this as our warm-up before we say hi to the crew. A first look at Jurassic World Rebirth. And one of the things that stood out to me, of course, right away is Mahershala Ali is in there. And if we're not going to get him as Blade, I'd be happy to see him get eaten by a dinosaur. So I think that's freaking awesome. And Scarlett Johansson, some pretty decent star power, has also joined this film. And so to me, that actually solidifies this excitement for me a little bit. Not only because she's cute, let's be honest, but because she's actually a pretty good actress. And I honestly think I'd be surprised if she signed on to a movie that was a horrible script. Now, it's not always up to the actors, let's be honest. And I haven't loved all of the previous iterations of Jurassic Park. I brought this slide up here because, you know, who doesn't want to see a dinosaur with a cigar in his mouth and a gold chain? But also there's been quite a few Jurassic Park and Jurassic World films. And to be honest, like, I didn't love the last one, even though it brought back all of the old cast and everything. It felt a little bit more Member Berry-esque, and it was still light on the story for me. So while I'm excited to see that a new one's coming, anytime I see a film that has like the words like rebirth or reimagining or revisited or any of those things, I start to get like that. Ooh, I hope it's good. So guys, I was curious what you have to think, because I'm, at least as of right now, like a 6 out of 10 excitement. Eddie, I'll go to you first. You got the Jurassic Park shirt on. Clearly you're a Jurassic Park fan. What are your thoughts of this Rebirth first look? Are you excited for the film and the casting that we know about so far? And I'd be curious, otherwise, maybe it's obvious, but what's your favorite Jurassic Park movie so far, or Jurassic World?
I'd say I don't know if I'm excited. I'd be looking forward to another Jurassic World movie. Like, I do love Jurassic Park. I love all of them except for the newest one, like you said. I just, towards the newest one, it started to get that, like dinosaurs weren't enough anymore, you know, like, and like kind of how the Fast and Furious franchise was and stuff, where it was like racing cars is not enough anymore, so we got to throw in space some more stuff to make it interesting. So the newer one kind of felt like Mission Impossible mixed with Jurassic Park in some parts, and I was like, it takes me out of it a little bit. And then for the new one, like, I'm glad to see the world continue, but honestly, Scarlett Johansson might take me out of it a little bit. I don't know, like the kind of the actress that she is. I don't. Maybe it's the fact that she's Black Widow now, or I don't know. Seeing her face in Jurassic Park might take me out of it a little bit. I don't know how I feel about it. She's almost got
too much star power in it.
Yeah, a little bit. It would be like Robert Downey Jr. in it. Like, he's an amazing actor, but when I look at him, like, I don't know, it it would take me out of it. But I love Mahershala Ali. He's awesome. I love him in most things he does, so that'll be cool. And my favorite one is gonna get like eye rolls from Chris probably, but The Lost World is probably my favorite one. Even though that's probably the first one that, because it took it out to the suburbs, you know, and like. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, maybe after I watched this movie, but like one recurring dream I've always had ever since I was a kid was being chased by a T-Rex like through city streets, like in the suburbs or in the city. Like, I don't know why I've always had that dream, but that's a recurring dream I've had since I was a kid. So, but yeah, I love all of them, man.
And you can remind me, Eddie, it's because it's been a while since I've seen Jurassic World. That's the one where Jeff Goldblum is back with his daughter, right? Like,
yeah, and you got
that's a good one.
The mom and dad T-Rex trying to save the little baby one, and yeah,
for sure. Now, I've heard some of the plot points of this new film in terms of Rebirth. Here is apparently, I guess, dinosaurs are not taking very well to the Earth's climate. They're starting to go extinct once again. But apparently where they've kind of got like found areas that are like that they can acclimatize to, I guess, are getting overpopulated. And apparently there's a serum that some kind of scientist wants to get from one of these doctors that will also help to save humanity or something along those lines. And so I think it'll be a very kind of Mission Impossible-esque style movie again, Eddie, where they have to figure out a way to get into these densely populated dinosaur areas to stick a needle in one of these dinosaurs and get the serum out. So, you know, $5 says whoever the scientist is evil. Just putting it out there ahead of time. $5. But we'll see. I could be wrong, and I'm still willing to at least entertain the idea. Feezy, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, is this something that you're kind of getting excited about? Seeing some of the star power in here, you like Eddie, where it takes you out of it? And what would you say is your favorite of the films so far?
Yeah, so I kind of had similar initial impressions when I saw Scarlett Johansson in this also. Like, she just kind of seemed, for some reason, odd choice to be in a Jurassic World movie. But then I read the premise before we started the stream, and yeah, it was exactly what you said. She was leading like this secret operative team or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. That's why she's in there. So there's the whole Black Widow part. She's
she is still Black Widow. Avengers meets dinosaurs.
Yeah, Jurassic World, the Widow Sting.
That's right. Yeah.
But I didn't even realize when you brought up all those movie posters of the previous ones, I didn't realize I was behind 2 movies. The last one I saw was the first one with Chris Pratt, the Jurassic World.
Oh, Jurassic
I'm like,
World,
damn. Yeah, so that kind of, to answer your question there, I'm kind of like meh about this newest one, just because now I'm already missed 2 movies and I'm not eager to go see them, just because I was reading the reviews. I heard mixed things, and it kind of seems like, I was thinking like what Eddie was saying, even with Jurassic World, it seems like, you know, how do we one up the previous Jurassic Park movies, the trilogy? Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, we just create this other dinosaur and go from there. And so yeah, it just kind of seems like they have to find some way to one up themselves to still make them intriguing. So I don't know, I'm more of the traditional Jurassic Park. That first one is still my favorite, the best one so far, without seeing the newer 2. But that's just my pick on a Jurassic Park movie, just straight dinosaurs and humans trying to escape from something gone wrong. So yeah, I don't know. Depending on how this new one, the audience consensus is on that one, I may see it, but I don't know. We'll see.
See how it goes. Yeah, I feel like Jurassic movies in general are great for the theater, you know, feeling the thunderous footsteps and kind of that tension that builds. If they do it right, it's pretty exciting for sure. Jurassic Park is my pick as well, Feezy, though. Like, again, it's the classic, you know, just the awe and wonder of seeing a dinosaur on screen for the first time back then. And then, you know, again, just the scariness of them, but also like the soundtrack in that movie was banging, like bum bum ba bum ba, like it just gets me every time, you know, like right back into it. And so no, 100%. I think that's. But Eddie, I'm with you though. Of the rest of them, Jurassic World would still be my like number 2 pick. It would be the one that I think I've seen otherwise the most. I haven't been a huge fan of the Jurassic Jurassic World series so far, even though I like Chris Pratt and some of the co-cast there as well. But Chris, I'd be curious for you because, you know, there's been a lot of criticism of this new film showing that Scarlett Johansson's going to be in here, Mahershala Ali, and people are being like, well, where's Chris Pratt? Where's the rest of the cast that we've started to get familiar with? When we talk a lot about Star Wars, you know, we often say, like, it's weird that they always go back to the Skywalkers, because isn't Star Wars still in a galaxy far, far away? And, like, a galaxy is a pretty big place, right? So, like, why do we always go back to the same people? Now dinosaurs have existed on Earth here in this franchise for some time. Do you think it makes sense that they're going with a new cast and trying to kind of rebirth it a little bit with a new set of folks? And what is your favorite of the trilogies, or six movies, I guess?
Gosh, Ben, that's a lot. All right. So basically, the last three, you know, and don't waste your time. Life's too short. People are mad Chris Pratt's not in it. Who are these people? Jurassic Park 1 is awesome, and Jurassic Park 3 is criminally underrated. And you know, directed by Joe Johnston, the guy who designed Boba Fett, directed the first Avenger, Jumanji, you know, a good director. And I think Jurassic Park excels as a smaller scale story. You know, that one is not as epic, not as much CGI, but it's also, when you look back at it from a sort of film history perspective, that's the last movie where you had Stan Winston, animatronic creature creator, at the peak of his powers. You know, he died a few years after that, but you have a 1-to-1 robot Spinosaurus wrecking shop in a river. What more can you ask for in life? They've been pretty CGI since then. And, you know, Stan Winston died while working on Terminator Salvation a few years later. So, you know, that was sort of marked the end of an era. I like 3 a lot. There's a lot going on subtextually in that movie, if you pay attention. Yeah.
I gotta watch 3 again. That was the one that I think I remember the least. For some reason, I must have just been kind of at that non-sweet spot of age where I was worried about other girls and, you know, stuff like that. But
yeah, well, you know, it's got Alan Grant realizing that he pretty much wasted his whole life and, like, threw away his opportunity at having a family, which is actually darker than anything that happens in the Jurassic World trilogy. So there's that.
Interesting, because that comes to light a little bit again when we see him in Dominion, from my recollection.
Yeah,
right?
But now he's 70, so it's like, yeah, we get it. You know,
well, now we get it. Man. You're past your prime, man. Yeah. That's for sure. And sorry, you said then 3 would be your actual, like, your favorite.
Yeah, like I know 1 is the best, but 3 has, like, rewatchability for me because it's just like a nice little self-contained thing. It's good.
Totally makes sense. Guys, let's move on because we got lots to talk about today. Lots of entertainment news. Thanks for getting warmed up with me. I appreciate it. I see you all out there in the chat. I think it's time that we say hello to everybody, but I do want to give a special shout out to our Tough Nut crew. We've got Alvin J collecting weekly, Money Mendez, 6 Scale Mafia, Katera, Feezy's Figures, King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, the Batman, the Movie Canon, 1 6-Figure Focus, SpongeBob Square Balls, Rogue One Photography, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Giss, Jose G. Hernandez, 12-Inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, Blur Dad Life, Danny Spotchka, Rachel Miller, Honest Hansel, Action in the Box, Figurific, Figurecraft, Neilerific, got those 2 combined there, Action Figure Academy, X-Men Supreme, Don Baton, Kenneth Jacobson, Valkyrie Magnus, Adrian Cervantes, Alex Serrato, Christopher Balzano, Pop Culture Relics, 1 Adam 12th, Evil Sneaker, Trevor Weed, and I want to just make sure I haven't missed anybody here real quick, guys. Let's just see. And Ryan Dean. There we go. Ryan, we will get you added to the slide, good sir. Thank you so much for being Tough Nut members, guys. Just a reminder, if you guys have missed it, Dean the Dream Martin from Collecting Weekly has helped me get some updated member badges there. So if you're just becoming a member here now, you'll become that up-and-comer in the first month, but then you get to be Nutpool, the Dark Nut, Live Long and Nut, Bub Nut, and the Terminator. We are taking suggestions right now for future nuts, anything beyond 24 months, because that'll be pretty epic if anybody ever gets to the 2-year mark as a member. So let me know if you're a member right now, what you guys want to see after the 2-year mark. Make sure you use some of the custom emojis in the chat today as well, especially the nut buster or hitting the nut button, especially if we end up pulling up that Ghostbusters slide. I don't know if we're going to talk about that yet, but let's definitely smash the nut button if we go there. But guys, let's say hello, of course, to the chat.
Is that everyone? I keep wanting more.
Nuts!
Assemble.
Nuts assemble. We got Noble Young here with us. Good to see you, buddy. We got Sith Scale Collector, Mr. Mike. Let's get nuts, boys. He may or may not be on with us next week, but hope you're enjoying from the recliner there today, buddy. We got Pop Culture Relics here with us as well. So go. No, I thought that said so good. Sco. Is what it says. Sco. I love to see it. We got myself, of course. We got Action Figure Academy here. Come on, Ben. Let's get green. No, I can't host a show if I've smoked too much beforehand. That's for after, you know, the decompression zone. We got Brick Artemis here with us. Good to see you, buddy. Let's get nuts. We got Jose G. Hernandez. Jose Plus. Hello, everyone. Good to see you, buddy. Feezy's Figure on the panel, as well as in the chat, as well as one of our channel members. Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks so much. We got 12-inch Moose Stream. One of our channel members here says, hello, community of collectors. Thanks for starting only 7 minutes faster than most streams I've seen in the last 2 days. You know what? Honestly, it was my fault today that we're even late. These guys were all here at least 10 minutes early, and I did not have my shit together. So at least it was only 7 minutes. We got Valkyrie Magnus, one of our great channel members, says, hey guys, have a great Sunday. The Ben Thomas Show, have a great show. Sorry I can't make it today. Hope you enjoy it on replay, buddy, when you get there, of course. We got Action Figure Academy, one of our channel members as well. It's Eddie Big Money Mendez. You got a fan there in the chat, buddy. Love to see it. We got Eddie here as well on the panel and in the membership and on the chat as well there, of course. Who else we got? We got Big Rib, as Dean would say. What's up, Mr. Ben? Hey, fellas. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see here. We got Steve A. That's, I think, a newer name in the chat. He says, when will Hot Toys make the offspring alien from Alien Romulus? That's a great question. Have you guys seen Alien Romulus yet?
Yep.
Yeah, me and Mike Sith Scale did a CW movie night about that on Thursday. It was a good chat.
Was it spoiler or non-spoiler?
Full spoilers. You know, if it's Alien sequel, like, you know, this is religious stuff here, man. You got to get in the first week. Like, there's no excuses.
You're not wrong. It's been a while since I've seen an Alien movie in a theater, and I went with the boys the other day. Had a great time with it. I really, really enjoyed it. Now, I went in with pretty low expectations, but honestly, it didn't disappoint at all. I had a really fun time with it. So if you guys get an opportunity, definitely check it out in theaters, and then go over to Collecting Weekly and check out that video for sure. Great question, Steve, though. We'll be seeing it. I would not be surprised if we at least see a Xenomorph come back. Excuse me, whether that's from the past, like a reissue, or one of the newer films. I would be excited to see that. We got Thalia Meyer in the chat with us. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. We got X-Men Supreme, one of our channel members here. Scarlett Johansson can take me out of anything at any time. Love to see it, that's for sure. We got Sam Guest, again, channel member here. Hello, boys. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate you here. We got Mr. Equan. Don't worry, Feezy. You didn't miss anything. Good to know. I think he's referring to those last 2 Jurassic movies, which he's not completely wrong. But I would still see them, Feezy, if you're planning to see the new one. You never know what's going to kind of cross over, right? Clinton Martin here with us. Good to see you, buddy. We got he says, howdy, folks. Always good to have you here. Let me just make sure I have not missed anybody. I don't think so. Blur Dad Life here in the chat, channel member, as well as saying, let's go. Love to see it. And I like that Joker picture in there. Let me know if that's the DX08 or if that's the Mars Toys version. It looks potentially like the DX08, which is the one I've got, and I freaking love that figure. Last, of course, but certainly not least, the Movie Canon Geo. Hello, collectors. Good to see you. Guys, we have 35 people watching live. If you don't mind, I always forget to ask, if you don't mind hitting the presumptive like button, it always helps the channel, helps broaden the reach for everybody. I'm horrible at remembering to hit the like button for my friends, so I'll try to get better if you guys don't mind helping me as well. Evil Sneaker, not fun. Good to see you. Make sure you get over to Evil Sneaker's YouTube channel of this evening. He's been having his live stream be quite successful lately with the Sneak Peek, one of my favorite shows on a Sunday night when I'm finally, with my green rolled up and trying to decompress after my own show. So make sure you see Evil Sneaker show tonight if he is on. Let us know in the chat, buddy, if that's for sure happening tonight. I don't want to speak for you if you had to delay it. Guys, let's move on to this. Fantastic Four is coming. And we talked a little bit about Johnny Storm a couple weeks back, because this tease on the right showed what he could look like. And some of the speculation we talked about, I think Chris, you might have even been here that day, was that like, what if these are his pajamas? You know what I mean? Like, this might not actually be a superhero outfit at all. Maybe this is just how he gets up in the morning for coffee. But then there was a spoilery image released of the Thing in practical makeup sort of thing, that from what you can see here on the left-hand side. Now, I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say, both in the chat and on the panel, because now we've seen a couple of different iterations of the Fantastic Four, and the first one, from my recollection, was an actual person in a suit. Like, he actually had like a practical outfit on. And then the other versions so far have been CGI. Now, the actor himself has come out in the last couple of months or weeks, I can't remember exactly, I'm never good with time, and said, no, this is going to be all CGI. Like, I'm in a motion capture suit. That's the take from the actual actor. But then we saw this picture leak. So I'd be curious, do you guys think this is actually what we're going to see in the film? Or is this potentially a stand-in for a CGI character? So essentially a reference point for the actors to kind of refer themselves to. And even still, even if this is just a reference point, are you excited about the classic looking Thing that we're getting out of this kind of costume? For me, I do think it's going to be CGI. I think at this point, this is likely just a reference, practical stand-in, something for the actors to kind of pay attention to so they know where to look. But I'm also really excited to see that it's like a classic looking Thing. And I also think that the outfit itself, if that's the way they're going, you know, harkening back to that classic comic, I think it's good. I think it's a good look, at least for a portion of the film. Chris, I'll start with you today, buddy. What do you think? The actor has said, I'm CGI. It's you know, but then this comes up. Do you think this is going to be a CGI monstrosity, or do you think it's going to be a practical effect character? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I guess this is like some sort of paparazzi photo that they didn't want out there. I'd be curious to hear from the person who shot the photo if that was a static prop or if there was a guy in a costume there. Just even if it's like a stunt guy walking around, because that would tell you the difference right there. It could, you know, they've been doing this for 20 years where like it could be just there for lighting reference, see what it looks like in the same sunlight as the other actors are in, basically, and like you said, give them a visual reference, and then they take it out for a take so they have a clean frame and all that. But I don't know, man. I don't like the MCU. Like, I'm no secret about that. But one of my more favored films from that series is the first Avenger, and I just like how it's sort of out of time and a period piece, and I think they should lean full in to that vibe with this, and even to the point of like color grading the movie so it looks like it's 50 years old. I think that would really help it stand out and be its own little piece that you don't need to watch 70 movies to understand. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, that as soon as this is over, they're going to somehow bring them to the future and all that will be ruined. But hopefully this will be an interesting little piece. And I mean, I'm sort of ignorant about Marvel, but I didn't realize the Thing like ever had a full costume like that. Like, am I like, I don't know what, maybe it's like one era.
Like the practical effects?
No, I mean like the suit. Like the white and blue suit.
Like an outfit, outfit over top of him. That's true, I guess. I've always thought of him as having like at least the bare chest. I'd have to look back too. Yeah, that's interesting.
Looks cool
though. Well said, buddy. Well thought. What would your preference be? I guess. Would you rather see a CGI monstrosity, or do you think the practical effects would actually be something that you'd like more?
I think they're too afraid to do it. I think they could probably pull it off with the available technology today, but like we were talking a little bit about Alien Romulus, there's not much in the way of CGI creatures in that film at all. Like any of it, it's outer space, that's CGI, and a little deep fake cameo. But other than that, you can do this stuff practically. It's a little bit more of a challenge here because you want it to have like vaguely human emotions. But I think you're gonna get a CGI face on that guy for sure.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, totally makes sense. Just to quickly stop the show here, we got a brand new channel member in the house, Big Reeb, as Dean would say. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining the Tough Nut crew. Welcome to the Tough Nut crew.
Welcome.
You don't even know what you're in for. We're going to be doing some giveaways pretty soon. The channel wildly just hit 22,000 subscribers, and so I haven't done a subscriber giveaway and or a membership giveaway here in a little while. So got to figure a couple figures lined up. So stay tuned if you're a channel member for the giveaway stream. But Big Rib, good sir, let's give you a new one here. Let's see. I want to give you a new one. Had it all lined up for you, buddy. Give me one sec. Here. This is for you, Big Rib.
Remember, you are my number one guy.
Yeah, it seems a little aggressive. Let's also give you a thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you joining in there. That's awesome, man, for sure. Feezy, what do you think, bud? Practical effects versus CGI effects. Do you have a preference when it comes to characters like this? And do you think this is a stand-in, or do you think this is maybe what we're actually going to see in the film? What are your thoughts?
First, I just want to say the picture on the right. I'm guessing that's the that you said that was Johnny Storm.
Yep.
The guy. Yeah. Immediate thought for him is Kirk Lazarus in Satan's Alley from Tropic Thunder. He just like, I don't know, he has that younger look on him, but I don't know. He kind of looks like him. But anyway, going back to your question. So yeah, I would say a good, ideally practical would be the best route, as it kind of just adds that more realism. But I know if they want him to have dynamic poses and do, just kind of different situations and kind of, I don't know, have those action scenes sequences, he's going to have to move a certain way, and so that's going to be limiting. So I think in scenes like that, it would make sense to do CGI. So I think a little bit of both. But I know, as far as what Chris was touching on, like for him to emote and just like the emotions to show would be kind of difficult to do practically, or you would have to have, obviously like robotics, animatronics to kind of do that whole thing, because I don't think it's going to follow his facial features accurately. So I would say both, but I know it's going to be pricey, and that's going to be money for them. So I don't know if they'll go that route, but that's what I would like to see. Realistically, they might go, I don't know, I think they might go CGI on this one. So, but I do agree that it's kind of weird if it is a stand-in, why this person has to like fully suit up. I don't know if whoever else he's in the scene with was like, no, he has to be like the full suit up and everything, the whole nine yards there, rather than just the head. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because it looks like he's mostly in underwear from at least the classic looks to him.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Maybe that's too aggressive for the rating system that they're trying to go for.
I know that would have been a hard R, yeah, if they took off that too. Yeah,
he's
I don't know.
Rock hard in those underwear. No, really though,
He's rock hard. Oh man.
Yeah, to see it.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead.
For sure, but no, and great take. I 100% agree with you, buddy. Well said. Mr. Money, Eddie, what do you think? Would you have a preference when it comes to creatures like this, CGI versus practical effects, or like what is your take from what you see from this photo for the most part?
I don't know that I have a preference. I really like practical effects, and I appreciate them from everything that I grew up with, but I also grew up with CGI, and I think if it's done well, like I love that too, so like I think that practical effects is like a dying art form in movies, and like I would love to see that like maybe better used today, like because they have so much technology that they could make it look awesome, I think, if they tried hard, if people appreciated it and cared about it. But I think that CGI just can allow you to do so much, which I think is cool too. Like, I think CGI is cool, and like they can do crazy stuff with that too. And I think, yeah, obviously with some of the fighting, like you're gonna get them to do way crazier stuff with CGI that you're not gonna be able to do with practical. But like, I love the Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans, and that was a suit, I think, that he was in, and I thought that was great, and I thought everything he did in those movies was cool, and I think it could be done. Actually, the more the more thing that annoys me about this picture is the fact that this dude didn't work out at all to be Johnny Storm. I fucking hate that so much in like nowadays, like where they're like, oh, dudes don't need to be buffed to be superheroes anymore.
Yeah, but Eddie,
That's a
it's the
dying
60s.
thing for me.
It's like Adam West.
But it's not
They show up.
actually. Well, I guess it is technically the 60s, but it's a future. It's a modern future, because he's in a multiverse, right? So it's not like our 60s. It's a future where it's like futuristic with a modern vibe or something, or with a retro vibe. So like, come on, dude, it's still in the future. Like, you're gonna tell me the guys weren't taking steroids in the future? They were taking it more in the 60s, I think.
You don't need to work out if you can just light shit on fire all the time, though.
Yeah, I guess so, man.
Yeah,
I have a hard time letting that stuff go with super.
And he's probably burning calories like crazy. Like, I don't know.
I like my superheroes over 50 years old and on so much roids that they could explode at any moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Affleck,
Commit to the role.
All in, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, this is what the previous versions of the thing have looked like so far. Yeah, I didn't like that second film at all, though, and so I think that was a CGI monstrosity to a certain extent. But just I never liked the look of it. I think the original one looked better for sure, but still, there were times from that film that I recall, anyways, where he looked a little on the clunky side. So I think in terms of fighting action, I think CGI is probably the way they have to go. And again, Evan Moss Backrack, I think is his name, is the actor, has literally said it's motion capture. So let's find out. I'm excited to see it. Let me know what you guys think in the chat or in the replay watching. Do you guys have a preference? Whether it's, again, that live action kind of stand-in or the CGI look? I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Now, before we move into the figure news here, I did want to just highlight these. The Joker 2 has gotten some updated poster art. I think some of these look pretty great. I mean, it really just looks like Harley Quinn and Lady Gaga are the same person at this point, truly. I think she's going to be great for the role. It does get me more excited to see this film, knowing that she's in it, to be honest. I thought the first film could have stayed a movie by itself. I didn't think they necessarily needed a second one, but it's amazing what money does. I'd be curious seeing some of the poster artwork here, guys, and this can be an open table, nobody specifically. Do any of you guys have more excitement now getting a little closer to this film, or are you feeling like the hype is dying for you, like you just kind of want to see it and get it over with in a sense? I know that seems like a weird question, but I'm starting to kind of feel like, okay, I just want to see it now and stop talking about it. So what do you guys think? Are you kind of feeling the same way?
I want to see it. I really want to see it.
Yeah, you're feeling it?
I want to see how it changes from the first. I want to see if it's a continuation. Like, I want to see how they end up being together. I want to see if they keep the same like real world vibe of a dude that has a mental illness that like kind of went crazy, or if they try to make it more of a little more comic-y Joker where like, you know, towards the end or the middle of the film when him and her get together, if like they start doing more of like what a comic Joker would do, or if they keep it real world. And like I just want to see what's going on with it, because I didn't need it at all. So I'm hoping, if anything, it adds to the original instead of taking away, because of like the movie did so well, we wanted to capitalize on the money and make a second one. I hate when that happens, because that happens a lot lately. So
what I would almost love to see, and I mean, this might be, you guys might be like, no, that's stupid, but wouldn't it be cool if this film, the Joker in this film, actually inspires the Joker we come to know? Because Bruce Wayne is like a 10-year-old kid in the first film, and so that would mean that like the divergence of age between Joaquin Phoenix Joker and a Batman in that universe would be quite a bit higher than, you know, kind of some of their comic counterparts. What if this Joker actually then inspires the Joker we come to know, and he ends up meeting Harley that way through this film? Could be cool, maybe stupid, I don't really know. I want to see a Harley Quinn story with Joker as well. But I always like the fact that Joker, while he has multiple backstories, nobody truly knows what his real backstory is. And with this original film, they kind of gave us a backstory but it didn't ever feel like the Joker to me. It felt like the inspiration for the Joker. What do you think, Chris, with regards to the posters here? Are you feeling like you just want to see it now? You're starting to get sick of talking about it, or is this building hype for you and speculation?
I think it's I'm gonna actually wait till I hear some reactions on this before I bother seeing it. Given what you had in that first movie, I know Harley Quinn is like a phenomenon since then, but this is a character that's introduced in Batman the Animated Series, which is a weird mix with that previous film to me, and it's like also it's a musical. I think it's either gonna be amazing or a total disaster. There's no middle ground here as far as I can see. So I'm gonna wait to hear what the general reaction is, I think. But yeah, it feels like we've been getting screenshots and leaks about it for years at this point. So it's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, absolutely. And well said just with regards to Harley, because I think a lot of people forget where she was even introduced. And, unfortunately, the voice of Harley Quinn passed away, I think now already about 2 years ago. She was wonderful. So, I mean, Arlene, rest in peace. I would have loved for her to see this new take on a Harley Quinn. I think that would have been pretty awesome. But Feezy, what do you think about this film here now that they're making a second one? When they first made that first film, they were like, we're not gonna, that's it. We're capping it here. And then it made like $1 billion. And they came out with a second one. Are you excited for the film? Are you feeling like you almost just want to get it done with? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of at this point. I think the only thing that's keeping my interest afloat is just the hype on this. And before Deadpool Wolverine came out, the whole thing was like, what's gonna cross $1 billion, and there's that whole rated R billion race. And so now, I think just along with that, it seems like my interest is peaked on this, but that's still to say I don't think I'm gonna rush to go see this. I think I'm with Chris. I'm gonna wait to see what the consensus is on this one. I do like musicals though, so I'm curious to see how this comes out. I'm thinking the whole musical aspect's gonna be where they're kind of coping with whatever they're going through music and song and dance. And so when it cuts to those numbers, they're going to have like this kind of, out of body experience. And they're going to have this whole like stage ensemble thing type of situation is what I'm thinking, to kind of represent what they're actually feeling. So it might be some sort of like an artistic take on that. So I'm curious to see more. I'm with you to see how this Joker, or this person who's calling himself the Joker, how this plays out. Cause yeah, I'm with you, Ben, in that I think the Joker, as we know in the comics, the one who killed Batman's parents, was inspired by this iteration, and we saw that at the end of the first Joker, right? The Waynes go down that alley out of the movie theater, and then those people follow him, and I think they actually, kill him there. Spoilers, sorry for those who haven't seen the first Joker, but yeah, so that kind of already took place, right? That's already going down, and if they are going to continue that path of that, the Joker that we all know, then that kind of already started. And maybe he follows in this sequel, he follows him more closely than Joaquin Phoenix. So I don't know, you might be onto something with there. So I think he's already inspired, but maybe both of them will develop. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah,
but
if he's kind of introduced somehow and then maybe dies in the film, and the new Joker continues on with Harley or something,
right?
Like that.
That could be interesting. He works closely with the three of them. Yeah, and then he kind of fills in for Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, that's a good point. So that's a possibility. I did read, though, that Todd Phillips wanted this to just be a standalone film, but obviously, like you said, it made a bunch of money, and so I guess they went back to the drawing board, and they wanted him to... someone had the idea to, like, okay, let's do a sequel, make more money. And sometimes, that's not always a good thing, but sometimes it can be. I know... kind of sidestepping to games, right? The Last of Us, I think, was meant to be a standalone, and Neil Druckmann, I think it was, I forget who wrote it. I think he wrote it. He was saying that he just meant for that to be a standalone game, but then they went back and, as we all know, they did a sequel, which is somewhat divided, right? There was kind of divided within the community on how people took that. I personally liked it, but some people don't. So I don't know, maybe that might be the case with this one too. Like Chris was saying, it's either you love it or you hate it. There's not going to be a middle ground. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this comes out.
When I first saw the first Joker, I was surprised that it had as much hype as it did, because I found it like it was difficult to watch. It's dark, it's gritty, but it's also like watching somebody truly suffer with a mental illness. But it didn't ever feel like a Joker movie. It felt like a really good thought piece on what mental illness can do to a person, especially if they're put in the positions that he was forced into. But yeah, he never really felt like the Joker to me. Sam Gist says, to me, the first Joker movie was a remake of Taxi Driver, and it was great. The only thing I missed in the first one was that they made him a reactionary character. Joker should be an insane genius. And Sith Scale Collector adds to that. He says, director recently said that the Joker is definitely not a criminal mastermind, which is part of the reason my theory could be maybe this film is a handoff to the Joker we come to know, and Batman's true kind of arch nemesis down the line. It'll be curious to see for sure. I am excited about it though. Now, Eddie, I know you were a pretty big fan of the first film. Is this something that you feel like you're going to see day one, or are you going to kind of be like the other guys and feel like you're going to wait and see?
No, I'll definitely watch it the first weekend. I don't know if I'll watch it like day one, but that first weekend it releases, I'll watch it because I love the first one, and I feel like from what I've seen so far, I'm going to love this one. I really like the music aspects because it's not a musical like Dreamgirls or like where it's like poppy
Chicago
music where just out of nowhere they're breaking out into song and dance. Like it's going to be like a theatrical performance almost, and it's like very serious, like Sinatra kind of music, like that I love and really like loved the soundtrack in the first movie. So if anything, it's going to add to it for me. And with Gaga in it, like that's going to make it even better for the singing parts of it. So I'm not really too worried about that. I'm just worried that they will try to make it more of a franchise money maker kind of a thing. Like, is he going into this thinking like, okay, we made a lot of money on the first one, now we have to make this one because we want to make more money. So it like, is he going into it thinking I'm going to make a third one, or is he going into it still creating a very good standalone film that complements the first one? Like, I understand. I don't need to be explained why people do what they do. I understand it. Is he still have the integrity that he had in the first one to make another great standalone film, or is he going into it thinking, with more studio involvement, thinking he's making a trilogy now? And like, I kind of like how, I know it's called Joker, and I think I probably only originally watched it because it was called Joker and it was tied to the DC franchise, but I thought it was really refreshing and dark, and like I didn't mind so much that it wasn't like super Joker, maybe because that's not a character that I'm tied to anywhere other than The Dark Knight or Batman 89. Like, those are my only real loves for Joker. So like, I'm not like super, I don't need him to be super comic accurate or like this kind of perfectly done comic movie. I like that it's kind of a spin-off take, and I want it to stay that way. I don't want it to be, I like the little innuendos and stuff of like, it showed Bruce Wayne as a kid and like where he saw, like, I like that, but I don't need it to be tied to an actual superhero Batman or like a comic underworld kind of a thing. I don't need any of that in this particular. I feel like we're gonna get plenty of that, and we're gonna get a lot more going forward. I'm fine with just having this the way it is.
And I kind of agree with you too, Eddie, because I've openly admitted many times that Heath Ledger's Joker is still my favorite Joker. I love Jack Nicholson's Joker for its time, but like Heath will always be my like live action Joker. I don't think anybody will ever top the way that he made me feel as like for that character. Similar to how Mark Hamill made me feel for the animated series Joker. Like he is the voice of the animated series Joker for me. When the Batman recently came out, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago came out, and they kind of had that tease scene of Barry Keoghan as the Joker at the end of that film. I hated that version. I really didn't like it. I thought it was off-putting to look at. I just don't really love that actor either, which doesn't help. I never loved Jared Leto's Joker by any stretch either. The fact that this Joker kind of exists maybe kind of within his own like world is actually like okay with me. It makes him one of my like next favorite Jokers in line. If I was gonna have to pick live action, for me it would go Heath, Jack, and then Joaquin. Whereas the other two I've seen, because they're trying to tie them to Batman films, I didn't love them all that much. So I agree with you. Maybe having this as its own kind of standalone piece or Elseworlds kind of take is by far the way to go for these guys. But we'll see. I feel like my anticipation level is high, but I'm waiting to see it in person. I think you mentioned the musical aspect of it. At least from what I've seen from the trailer, it almost looks like the musical aspect of the film is kind of his like slip into the madness, his divergence from reality. That what we're seeing him actually, when we're seeing them sing and dance, they're actually doing other actions in the real world, but they're just picturing themselves, dancing on a beautiful stage in front of an audience when they're actually dancing out in the street with madness going on around them. And I think that could be a really cool way to blend those two worlds together. So I guess we shall see. Guys, let's get into some figure news. Great thoughts there, by the way, everybody. I'm reading all the comments in the chat as well. You guys have some awesome takes there. So make sure you guys read through the comments if you're just watching on the replay. But guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about a little bit of old news quickly, and then we're going to move into the new stuff there. But last week we missed Let's Get Nuts. Chewbacca did come up with, of course, his little companion there, the disassembled C-3PO. I put this picture in here because, man, does Lando's hair look terrible in comparison to Chewie and everything. But I think the biggest factor for me here was the price point. While I'm very, very excited to have Chewbacca, I already put the pre-order in. Man, was it expensive. Like, wildly expensive. When I look at especially the shipping and conversion rate for me, this is going to be like well over $600 Canadian, in that $450 to $500 range for you folks in the States. Like, that's a very pricey boy. And one of the issues that I honestly truly have is that there wasn't a cheaper option. While it's a fun scene to show Chewbacca and C-3PO together, and it's a super iconic scene, like strangling Lando and everything, like, I already have a C-3PO from Return of the Jedi in my collection. I don't necessarily want to display two C-3POs, so for me, I'll either sell that one eventually and just keep this one to save a space in the display, or I won't display this on his back and fit him in to have more of a general Star Wars looking display. But I don't have the option to just get Chewbacca without him at a lower price point. And I think that's the piece that I just didn't love about this particular release. Am I getting it? Yes. Was I happy about the price? Not really. Do I think it looks like the best Chewbacca that we've ever seen so far in 6 scale? 100%. I absolutely do. I'll be curious to see what it looks like once we get it in hand. Keep in mind, the prototype of the Force Awakens Chewie, in my opinion, looked better than the kind of dog-faced version we ultimately ended up getting. I had that figure 3 years ago, and I ended up selling it because I didn't think it looked like Chewbacca at all. And so that was a little disappointing to move that one on. I actually took a loss on that figure, which sucked. I hope the same doesn't happen here. But Chris, I know you're starting to really kind of look into the 6 scale line. You have a massive different collection behind you, whether it's Signature Series, Black Series, smaller scales, bigger scales, and now you've got a couple 6 scale coming. Is Chewbacca with C-3PO disassembled on his back something that you would consider putting in the collection?
Well, I think like you're absolutely right that the face is a step up from their previous offerings, but I think it really might just come down to a technical limitation in a way. It's like, can you apply, I don't know if you got that close up, but can you apply fur to a face at 1/6 scale and actually get it to look how he does in the movies? Like, I mean, this, to me, this looks like they're within striking distance, but there's just something weird about it. And it could be as simple as hair physics at that scale. It's just not, something about the mouth and the eyes looks derpy, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's
I also
going
don't
on.
remember him ever being this happy in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
For the most part, like, he's pretty pissed or like aggressive, not like, he looks kind of happy in the figure.
Yeah, like, does he ever look happy in any of the movies per se? Like, I don't you know what I mean? Like, it's just not, it's not the most articulated face. They tried giving him some more range in episode 3, and everybody sort of considers that to be the weirdest looking version of Chewbacca. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're gonna get your cheaper version because this guy doesn't even have the bowcaster, so who knows? But of course, if they did a Return of the Jedi, but if they do Jedi, his the head's a little different. He's got a little bit of hair product in Return of the Jedi compared to the first 2 movies. But I wouldn't be surprised if you get him by himself very soon, because there's R&D here.
You know what? It's interesting. I try and tune into as many, other shows as I can just to support the community. And I don't know if I've heard anybody else say that so confidently, but you're absolutely not wrong. There's a good chance that now that we've got this design, that we'll see other versions. I think the hardest and worst part of collecting, as you guys know, is the fear of missing out, right? Like if I don't order this one and then they never give us another Chewbacca for some reason, well then I've missed my opportunity to have one and go. And this is already $600 for me as a standard release. What would be $1,000 to try and get it on a secondary market once he sells out? And so I feel like people do, like me, pre-order despite the fact that they're not happy with the price, despite the fact that half of the accessories are literally going to stay in the box just to get the figure in the display, and then feel truly burnt sometimes when there's another version that comes out in 3 months from now that is scaled back and cheaper and could have done the same thing. But what do you do then? Lose your NRD or cancel, lose your money, and get the cheaper option, right? Like sometimes that differential is still cheaper. But no, that's a great thought, good sir, for sure. And I love the fact that they've given us rolling eyes with this Chewie. I love the fact that you can articulate his jaw. Like there's some aspects of it here that are new and different and exciting, and helps to justify the price in my mind a little bit more. This is not an artisan figure, even though they're talking here about the wool rooting, or the wool implantation hair anyways, not necessarily rooting. I think they almost kind of missed the boat. I think if they had upped that a little bit and just like up to the expectation of what the implantation looks like or acts like, they could have made this an artisan figure as well. But Travis chose not to. So,
but what they're doing around the eyes there and like above the mouth has to be just as complicated as anything they're doing with an artisan figure. Like they have to maneuver all that hair in a specific direction, and they have seams. Like somehow it meets a sculpt around that eye and like doesn't look like a wad of glue. Like I don't know that there's anything more simple about this than any of those artisan figures, really.
Absolutely. Kenny Lang says he looks stoned in the left photo. I'm an expert in that division, and I agree with you. Big Rib says, I was on the same boat, Ben. I really just want a Chewie. I will probably sell off the C-3PO backpack and make it up for being so expensive. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I guess that's the benefit of buy-sell trade groups is, what aspects of these figures are we going to literally see being parceled out? The only piece that I struggle with on parceling things out is, again, if another Chewie comes along, because let's be honest, in collecting never stops. We're always going to get another version eventually. If you ever did want to sell this figure, not that I collect for value, but if you ever wanted to sell it and you don't have that C-3PO backpack on it, I mean, what is that going to crush half the value on this thing at least? Like that would be shitty. But at the same time, I've got so many figures in my collection where literally half the accessories are just in the closet, and then that burns my ass a little bit too. Eddie, what are your thoughts here on Chewbacca now that you've had some time to kind of digest on this figure a little bit? I know you've been in and out of 6 scale lately, but like, is this one that you've justified getting in the collection yourself, or are you more like Chris, thinking maybe I'll wait for a cheaper solution just to get a Chewie in?
I think it looks amazing, and to me, it not being labeled specifically artisan doesn't take away from like what Chris said, that it has a lot of artisan detail to it and stuff that would probably be in an artisan that makes it just as good for the price, I guess. But for me personally, $430 is a lot. Like, I'm not even sure that $430 is asking too much for Chewie itself. Like, I feel like people get their feelings hurt a little lately when you go into like, is it too much or is it not? For me personally, it's too much. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be priced that way, but just like, it's a lot of money, and even though I love Chewie and Han, they're probably my favorite duo in Star Wars in general. I don't know if I want to spend that much, especially with the way the value of things are going with collectibles and the way resales going and stuff. Like, I don't necessarily think that it'll either hold or that it'll be hard to get or that they won't make another one. So I don't really feel a sense of urgency, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't feel like I'm going to miss anything if I don't pre-order it. I feel like I have time to think about it. I feel like I have time to wait to see if something happens in the future. I have extra funds and I can get it. I think I'd be fine. If I had the money, I'd be fine spending that amount of money on it, I think. But just right now, I don't want to do that. So, but I do think it's good, and I don't mind the C3PO. I think it would have been cool to offer an option without it. But I also think it's cool that they found a way to throw something in with him that he otherwise wouldn't have come with. He wouldn't have had very many accessories in the first place. So it kind of gives it something to add to it. But yeah, it's definitely really cool, and like this is what I want to see from Hot Toys, even though it's expensive and people don't like certain things about it. Like, I'd rather see a new Chewbacca that they haven't done rather than another Iron Man or weird Spider-Man suit or something, you know?
Hell yeah, true. I do still wonder if, you know, the fact that we're seeing a new Wookiee design opens the door for a black chrysanthemum at some point. You know, they're working on that comic-inspired line with that Dark Empire Luke Skywalker. Like, you know, could we get a black chrysanthemum not necessarily from the TV show, but from the comic-inspired version? Like, that could be really freaking cool if they've got some, you know, some Wookiees out there. I mean, I'm still waiting on a Cassian Andor as well, so I don't think we're ever going to get that. But again, maybe the comic-inspired line gives us some opening doors.
Are you saying you'd rather have Black Chrysanthemum than Chewbacca's family from the holiday special in your 6-scale collection? That's crazy.
I probably would. That was a rough special. I recently watched that again. It's honestly hilarious to watch, though. Horrifying in many ways, though. Honestly, really, really scary looking, for sure. But yes, Black Chrysanthemum needs to come along with the Wookiee lineup. That's for sure. Jay Feezy, what do you think, bud?
Yes, sir.
Is this something that you feel is on the high side in terms of price? Do you think it was justified with what you're getting here? What would you have rather seen maybe otherwise from a Chewbacca release, depending on your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think it was a little high, but I haven't had a chance to compare it to the previous Chewies, so I'm not sure, I guess proportionally if those were about the same compared to other Hot Toys at the time. So I'm not sure. I did pre-order this one because, you know, as much as we all see 2.0s and reissues, I'm kind of at the point now where it's like, well, do I want to wait for those? Or do I kind of just want to enjoy this one while I can? Because I don't know, you know, I'll still be collecting, but I don't know about how much or if I'm still going to enjoy, you know, the figures as much. So I guess I'm kind of taking more of the approach of like, if I want a figure, I'll get it now and enjoy it while I can. So I ended up getting this one, even though I think the face could have been better. I mean, I compared it to the previous ones, and yeah, it is better than those, than the last one. I was just looking now too. The previous Chewbacca came out in 2016, and that was with the Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. So it's been like 8 years in between those, and then so that was 2016, and then the one before that was 2014. So those were 2 years apart, and so 8 years later we have this one. So I think maybe there we might get another one soon, but I don't know how much more different that would be. I would like, other than I guess the accessories that they could remove, I guess the C3PO, and give them the crossbow. What's the actual term for it, Chris? Again, the bowcaster. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. the digital crossbow. The bowcaster. So, I mean, I guess they could do that. Maybe like kind of lighten or darken the hair like they did with the previous 2 versions. So, yeah, maybe I guess I probably should have waited if it was going to be that within like a year or 2. But oh well, you know, I just go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, the bowcaster's the iconic look, but if somebody could probably help you out with that. That's a pretty easy piece to do, probably, if instead of getting another figure.
Yeah, that's true. The whole 3.
I wonder if any other 6-scale companies are going to give the Chewbacca family at all. Can you imagine? I'm just like picturing third party,
like a third party
versions. Oh my god, could be horrible.
Wow. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, one can only hope. Yeah.
For sure.
I did pre-order this because I've said it before, Return of the Jedi is my movie, and so I'm looking to have that shelf. You know, I'm almost there. I already got the Vader on the way. Well, when that ships out, I got the Mando Luke close enough for me, and I got the Han, and then this one, and then all I'll need is like hopefully I can Return of the Jedi Leia of some form, but I'll even take an Empire Leia, so any type of Leia, so I'll have that shelf. So that'll be that. I think I'll be good with that. So yeah, well, I guess we'll hopefully they improve this a little more. We'll see how this one goes.
Absolutely. I've seen some speculation. Folks are feeling like this could be an artisan Leia, because like even when you zoom in on the picture, it's really hard to tell if it's like kind of the partial sculpting, partial hair implantation, or if it's You know, like you can't. It's hard to see. I immediately had thought it was just sculpted. But then a lot more people out there have said, no, this looks like it could be artisan. So I don't know if that's just hopes and dreams, or if like maybe they've got a better zoom camera than I do. Like I have no idea, but
might be crazy. But like if you have a tight ponytail like that, I can't imagine why they would ever do that with real hair, because it has all kinds of room to get destroyed and look crazy. And if it's looking right, it's pretty flat. So I'd be shocked if there was real hair on the flat part there.
He has
True,
the
but then at the same time, the lady Deadpool.
He has the bowcaster.
Okay,
Does
it's not
he?
in any of these pics. That's
Yeah, he does. I was looking through and I was like, wait, it's right there.
Oh, nice.
Okay, well,
sweet.
nice.
Very
Maybe you're not
We're
getting
getting
another one.
nuts.
Some panic.
Yeah.
Damn, I was just messaging Collecting Weekly to be like, Zach, you need to get on the bowcaster quickly. You know, start printing them now, baby. So, oh, that's funny. No, I don't have a Leia in my collection. But this is not the version I would want either. I would honestly still want a New Hope version with the, the hot crust buns on her head. So, who knows? We'll see what we get when this comes out. I don't think it should ever upset anybody if an opinion is that the figure seems too high in price. Like the best price is the price that the collector is willing to pay. And so for some people, they'd be willing to pay more than this to get a Chewbacca in their collection. For some of us, we would prefer and want to pay less. Of course, who wants to pay more? That was my argument for what we're going to talk about later with the Hono figure. But like at the same time, again, it's the price that is best for you. Just don't necessarily wait so long that you then have to pay secondary pricing, not to create FOMO. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is one that, once it's gone, it is harder to obtain. Although, since this was announced, I also have seen the New Hope version of Chewbacca show up twice now on Facebook Marketplace for less than $900, which is pretty crazy. I've never seen that thing for anything less than $900 for that set. So, you might even be able to get an older version if you want. Let's see. But guys, great thoughts there. Let's move on to the next one here. But we do have just under 60 people watching live with us today. Thank you so much for getting nuts with us here on the Ben Thomas Show. We appreciate you guys and all of the engagement you guys give us. If you don't mind hitting the like button, even sharing the stream, it all really just helps to get more people here to watch the show for future weeks. We definitely appreciate it. One other thing I did want to mention, and I had forgot to share this with you guys earlier. I don't know if this is of any interest for anybody whatsoever, but the Ben Thomas Show, we do have a TeePublic set up on the YouTube site itself. So whenever you're on my YouTube page, there's a little link at the very top there. If you are interested in getting any Ben Thomas Show merch, I get very much like cents on the dollar here, but you can get things like mugs, stickers, magnets, t-shirts, sweaters, all of the things. So I've got a bunch of Let's Get Nuts stickers on the way for all of the people who, panelists. But if any of these are exciting for you guys and you'd want them on a shirt or a hat or a magnet or any of the things, it's there and available for you guys, just in case you want it there. Let's move on. Mondo McCready is here. Now, shout out to the photographer on this one. I think he might actually be in the panel right now with us, Mr. Chris. You had sent this into our live stream chat there the other day. Now, I had heard lots of feedback because I loved the thing. I think it's one of my favorite John Carpenter films of all time. When we were talking earlier about practical effects versus CGI effects, some of the practical effects in that first film with the creatures and stuff are horrendously scary and creepy and gross looking, and I love it. And so when the Mondo figure was announced, it was actually a video I did right away because I was really, really excited about it. I've still got this on order. I don't know why it hasn't come yet. I feel like everybody else has got theirs, and I'm still waiting on mine. But when people started getting this in hand, they started to kind of feel like, the paint applications are pretty good, but the hair is like solid, chunky, buttery looking sculpting. So what are your thoughts, good sir? Now that you've got this guy in hand, how did this turn out for you, in hand for you?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty green with the 6th scale stuff. I don't have a lot to compare it to, but I don't know, man. I found just to get this pose you're seeing here where he's got one hand under the flamethrower, I have one hand with no glove and the other hand is like a gloved, very flat hand, so you get these two winter gloves that are you couldn't hold anything with them, and that was the only one I could even get close to holding the bottom of the flamethrower, right? So he's got two very mismatched hands there to even get that, and it comes with this big old flame effect that I have no idea how you can even use it. It's heavy. It's as heavy as his torso, the flame effect. So I don't know what anyone's doing with that, but like I don't know, man. I think you could, the way a lot of people display their collections, kind of like how you have behind you there, Ben. You could do something cool with it. You know, like you're not going to constantly be thinking about those articulation limitations when you have a cool display set up with some of the two creatures that come with it. But I can't make sense of the hands and what you're supposed to do, because like he comes with a long rifle as well, and it's like I don't see any way you can get both hands on that gun. Like I don't think it's possible. Yeah, you're muted, sir.
I just realized that. Thank you. How do the paint apps look like next to some of your other 6 scale offerings?
Like I said,
does it need its own shelf, would you say?
I think it needs its own shelf, just because I didn't send you all the pictures I took there, but you know, the dog that it comes with is pretty big. And just because of the two creatures it comes with, I think it would need its own little cube like you have behind you there. But like, I mean, I did this shot just so you could, like, you know, the paint application on the skin is, you know, it looks as good as the Hot Toys you see to me, but the beard and the hair, they're a little more simplistic, a little more jagged. You know, they didn't go super fine detail on the beard, as you can see there.
The tailoring also doesn't look as tight as I was expecting. From the prototype, it looked a little tighter. Just around his body, his collar didn't seem quite so large, and the zipper didn't seem quite so big. Like there's some scaling challenges there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's you know, maybe you can see on the other shot, but like the jacket sits really high. Maybe that's accurate to the movie. So he has this jump. His hands are sort of blocking it there, but the jacket's like near the back of the gun there where it stops, and it looks kind of short. I don't know if it's riding up, but because I have him looking down quite a bit there, but it might be accurate to the movie. It's sort of like a green like under jumpsuit with the jacket over top. Like, listen, man, it's got to be tough to make a functional zipper at that scale. Like, there's no practical reason to ever do it besides collectibles. You know what I mean? Like, you know, still, it's probably 4 times the size it should be, but that might be like with the Chewbacca, that might just be a physics limitation there. Like any smaller and it's going to bust off and you're going to be annoyed and phoning them what the heck happened, you know. But I don't know, I think, you know, once you get it in the right light and you put it, the creatures have fun paint jobs, and especially like the spider head looks awesome. I should have sent you some more pictures, but I like it for what it is, because for me this sort of thing is like, I'm not gonna be posing it all the time, and as somebody who's like not a rampant 1/6 collector, it's really down to representation from a specific movie for me. And you know, there's probably like 10 movies that I would bother getting such a figure from, and this is probably on the list, and nobody else is making it.
Yeah, well, definitely nobody else is making it, which is one of the reasons I gave Mondo so many props when this first came out, because it was something that I was really surprised to see. Now, Mondo's also announced a They Live figure. Now, I will be fully transparent with you guys. I don't remember a lot of this film. I've seen it at least once in my life, maybe twice. A character called Nada, from my recollection. It's a unique film, that's for sure. I don't think it holds up as well from my recollection as the Thing did for me, but at the same time, some of the iconography, like, you guys might recognize this film more than you actually remember, like, the characters or even the plot points, like me, because this stuff definitely stands out. But clearly Mondo is getting involved with John Carpenter, because this is once again another John Carpenter film. I don't see the excitement for this figure as much as I saw for the McCready. But I could be wrong. I'd be curious to see what you guys have to say in the chat. Chris, since you've already now got a John Carpenter figure in the collection, is this one that you would consider also pursuing?
I sort of look at They Live as first, yeah, like I said earlier, it's a documentary. You know, there's aliens walking amongst us in North America, and you just can't tell till you put on the magic glasses to see them. But he's sort of this movie's sort of like it's sort of like the like if you look at the four like Holie, Kurt Russell, John Carpenter movies, Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China, this is sort of like the like awkward little brother who's like almost as good as those, but it doesn't star Kurt Russell. It's like it's just, you know, it's in the same ballpark of like I'd rather get all four Kurt Russells from John Carpenter movies than this, but you know, it's a sure the effects don't stand up, but it's just a bonkers premise, and there's some beautiful action sequences and a couple one-liners that have really transcended the film and stood the test of time, you know. So you're gonna hear, if you've never seen it before, you're gonna recognize some of the lines because they escaped the film. But you know, it's just you know, it's your classic tale of a secret alien invasion. So you know, the weapons look good, but I think that what's really gonna hold this back in the long run is it's hard to get excited about that costume, and you know, it's a figure at the end of the day. It's why the Indiana Jones toy line fails every time. It's just dudes in regular clothes. You know what I mean?
It's not as exciting. Yeah, the second head sculpt is definitely the standout, especially in a display with some good lighting on it, like you see on the right picture, for sure. I would buy pretty much everything from Big Trouble Little China. I think that's like one of my favorite old school films from back in the day. Even Escape from New York, I had a great time with that movie, and so like kind of like you said, you know, that was a great way to put it actually, like the little brother, because it's like I would have loved to see them do the Kurt Russell version of all these different films. I'm surprised they went with this one like next in their succession, but maybe it's just you know, how quickly they got it licensed, or like who knows what the rationale was there. But hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Feezy, is this something that you'd be interested in, like looking at bringing in, depending on the display, or would you, again, similar to Chris, rather see maybe some of the other characters from other John Carpenter films?
No, take it away, Eddie.
No, take it
No,
away.
I'm just playing. Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Yeah, no, this was, yeah, like you said, there's more iconic than memorable for the film. Iconic in the sense that I remember certain scenes, and I actually went back to watch this like a year or two ago, and one of the things that stood out in addition to the faces was just the whole fight scene with his construction partner, the other guy, and just the way, you know, that was just a reason for him to kind of bust out his wrestling moves. Being the wrestler, it's just so funny, that whole fight scene in the alley. But yeah, just, it wasn't really a movie that I'd want to get a figure from. But Big Trouble in Little China, on the other hand, that I've been advocating for anyone who can hear it. I don't know if maybe I wouldn't want Mondo to do it personally. Maybe somebody else, like a third party, who can possibly do it better. But I don't know. Maybe they could pull off. I just want to say, I know there's that Jack Burton sideshow figure from years ago, but that was the only one they did. So I want to see the actual, like the Three Storms. I've been calling for the Three Storms for a while, so hopefully we get that. But pass on this for me, though.
I love, you know, my setup sometimes it's like, oh yeah, like tell me what you guys think of, you know, X, Y, and Z, and like, would you guys totally get this? And this is Jay.
How about nude?
I love this.
Or also like when I think of the short answers, I think of Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element when Chris Rock's in the room. He's like, thrilled. Yeah, the short answers, yeah, or no, yeah, it's just short answers, yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, you know what? The figure's inspiring some folks. Kenny Lang says, I'm going to watch this tonight. Love to see it. We got Tobar66 in the chat saying, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. We also got Mark P in the chat with us. Big Trouble will definitely put a hole in my wallet. Yeah, 100%. Definitely would. Eddie, I know you've had a couple Mondo figures now in your display, and some of I think you've kept, some of you've moved on. I know you didn't love the Mondo figures, though. Is this something that, like, if they make the right character for you, you'd go back to Mondo for a purchase, or you're kind of done with them at this point now that you've had that previous experience?
Yeah, I only ever had the Logan that was the SDCC exclusive from, I think it was 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I got it just because I've always seen different Mondo stuff, like with the X-Men line, and I've always wanted to check them out, and I love Logan, so I got it. I didn't love the articulation, like Chris was saying. I don't think any of their figures articulate very well. Like, yeah, they're just not good. They're not fun figures to mess around with. If you're just gonna get it and stand it there, and that's what your collecting is, then I think you'll be fine with it.
Yeah.
They're not as even close to me detailed as a Hot Toys is. It's more like a sideshow figure, and it's more like a sideshow figure from like 2014. So, like, I don't even think there's tons of realism there and stuff, which is, when I collect 1/6, I'm going more for realism or articulation, and it doesn't have either of those. So I like that I tried it out because I've always been curious about different Mondo stuff. I like that I tried it out, and now I know for sure, like, I closed the door on Mondo. I don't really need those figures going forward.
That's fair.
And also, like, I have never seen any of these movies. I've never seen The Thing. I've never seen They Live.
Oh, man.
I've seen Big Trouble in Little China. I don't care for it at all, to be honest.
It's all good.
And I love Kurt Russell, dude. I love Kurt Russell, like, but I know Kurt Russell, like, older, like Captain Ron or Overboard Kurt Russell. Like, yeah.
I don't know about Big Trouble in Little China, but Captain Ron, I tell you, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I never
like
saw
Captain Ron a lot, but it also could be because of Martin Short, you know. But yeah. I've never.
Overboard?
I guess I don't know Kurt Russell for like his action stuff. I know him more for his like sitcom-y comedy stuff. But I'll definitely check him out. I'm in the phase where I'm going through like all the old stuff that I've missed from 70s and 80s, and so
Yeah, you were saying backstage
I'm down to check them
there-
out. And they're
you were
good
saying
Halloween
backstage-
movies, right? We got Halloween coming up. Like, I'll definitely
That's
watch
true.
them for October.
That's true.
That'd be good to add to the list.
Yeah.
That's a good call, actually, Eddie. You were saying backstage that you would 100% buy the Mel Gibson Mad Max figure, right?
You
from
know-
all the films.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I did love Road Warrior, and I do love Mel Gibson, and I do love Mad Max as a character. I just think the movies weren't what I thought they were gonna be, and I think that's what ruined it for me. But
Going back to the old ones is hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes. That's for sure. No, I'm just calling you out for fun.
You're gonna get whiplash. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you want, like, Fury Road is like insanity, so it's hard to like work backwards. Like, it built up to that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah,
you know,
there's
tough.
I appreciate all of it, especially now, especially how much I criticize stuff that we get nowadays for story and just like lack of thought. Like, I love going back and watching 70s and 80s and even earlier stuff, and I love how it was made. I love that time period, and I wish I grew up more in that time period. So I love them for that. I won't say that I hate any of them anymore. Like, I still appreciate them for that time. I just think there's a certain love that you have watching them in that time, or even like when you were young in the 90s, that you'll never have again as like a 30-year-old adult. Maybe you will. Maybe it's me, but like, I do appreciate them for that, at least, because Chris was there when I like horribly shit on the first Alien movie, and I actually love that movie now. And same with Predators 2. Like, I hated that the first time I watched it, and I actually really love that movie now. So maybe sometimes it takes also like extra watch throughs to kind of put yourself in that mindset.
Actually, what you got to do is just watch Jurassic World sequels on loop, and then you start to appreciate everything more.
That's fair. 12-inch Moose Stream said that he's getting angry as he watches this because he hasn't got his McCready yet, picked up on August 6th. What the heck? I'm kind of in the same boat, dude. I'm still waiting on mine. I thought I'd have it by now for sure, but no such luck. The next two slides I'm going to move by pretty quickly here. I'm not going to get the whole panel's take, but just sort of some updated news. Nenjin Tam, the main developer for X06, has been posting quite a bit of Star Trek stuff lately. Right now, this is about 2 days ago now, mentioned here, tentatively scheduled to finish the TNG or Next Generation line before the end of 2025. Cross your fingers. That's the line that I am going the deepest on when it comes to Star Trek figures. I'm very, very excited to see what the rest of those look like. I'm still waiting on my Geordie LaForge. Once I get him, I'm going to plan to do a Exo 6 unboxing and review of him and Data together. So stay tuned for that on the Ben Thomas Show. But let me know, guys, what are you most excited for in terms of the Star Trek Exo 6 line? Is it TNG? Is it that Krug that keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed? I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say in terms of the Star Trek collectors. And then with regards to Batman the Animated Series, I would not be who I am today if it was not for Batman the Animated Series. It helped to sculpt my personality. And of course, Poison Ivy has also been announced by Mondo Toys to go along with, at this point, so far, we've got the Batman, we've got the Joker, we got Mr. Freeze, as well as we've got, who else there? The Phantasm. And then we've also... and Man-Bat. I did forget about Man-Bat. Yeah, that one's huge, actually, which is pretty crazy. And then they've also done that black and white series of those characters now that are a little bit more readily available. To me, when I think about the Batman the Animated Series, the color scheme, like that... In the way that they animated that series was actually on black paper. It was the first time they'd ever done color on top of black paper, which is, in my opinion, one of the reasons the colors stand out so dramatically for all of the characters. So to see it in black and white takes something away from it for me. It doesn't feel as exciting. I've got the Batman and the Joker, and I've never actually even put those figures on display or even on the channel. Like I've got them boxed up for a future display because I'm running out of space. They're beautiful figures, but to be honest, my 7-inch line of characters, I like just as much. And so for me, I can understand why people might choose to pass on the 6-scale offerings because it takes up a lot of display space, especially with how good some of those previous versions are. And now Todd McFarlane Toys is also doing their own line of the Batman the Animated Series from those classic kind of looks and colors. And so if this is something that you want, but you don't necessarily want to carve out space in the display, I think that could be pretty cool. My only criticism of this figure, honestly, is I don't know why she's so freaking tanned. Like, even in the series, like, she's quite a bit more white-skinned than this. The picture on the right-hand side is actually from The Adventures Continues, when they decided to cheapen out on the artistry and actually dialed back what all these characters looked like. So that's why she's so pale and dead-looking. But the original is still my favorite. She looks like she spent way too many days in the tanning bed. And it's just not nailing it for me. In fact, I think this is actually probably the worst of the Mondo figures from this line so far. Even body proportion wise, she's a lot more curvy in terms of her smaller scale counterpart, and in the show, she's just too bulky. So I got a lot of criticisms with this one. This is by far one that I plan to skip. Anybody on the panel looking at either Exo 6 lately for Star Trek or for Mondo for Batman Animated Series, or you guys are passing on these ones as well?
The most appealing Exo 6 Star Trek to me, I think it already came out. It's that that crazy looking Spock from the original movie. That's that's just the most metal version of Spock ever.
Spock.
Yeah, but this is like, I don't know. Do you have the price point handy on this? Because like
I don't handy, but I think they're typically somewhere in the $225 to $240 range, somewhere in that.
It seems a little simplistic for that. You know what I mean? It's just not a lot. Like just looking at the construction of the legs and everything, like it. I think the heads look really nice, but other than that, it seems like you're paying a lot for like the engineering that you're getting. That's my take on it.
Yeah, totally. Darren 2501 says Mondo is just like Sideshow, doing characters no one will ever touch. I mean, I definitely think there is a market for these. Like, I've thought about Batman the Animated Series figures in 6 scale for years, and now that they've come to fruition, I'm like, no, I still kind of like my smaller scale ones the same. They even have the same joint placement, like what you're talking about, Chris, in terms of where the joints are and kneecaps and everything. They're literally just scaled up versions of those past versions, and those ones were like $39. So I don't know if I need to pay $200 plus, as well as there's so many characters in that line that it would be devastating for not only collection space but also your wallet if you were trying to get them all. So I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's a skip for me. Now this is not one that I want to skip. SooToys Mr. Ice, of course, a representation of Arnold Schwarzenegger from Batman and Robin, is finally being shipped out. And I gotta say, SooToys I think has absolutely nailed this likeness. I saw some posts online of people finally getting this in hand, and it looks just as good, if not better, than the prototype. Eddie, this is one that I think you have ordered, if I'm not mistaken, or at least had considered it. Is this the representation of Freeze that you want, though? Because I also know you've got the other version, which I think was the Dragon Toys Dr. Zero, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have the Dr. Zero from Dragon Toys. It's a horrible figure, though. It's one of those ones that just stands there. And it's hard to get it to even stand there. You need a stand for that one because of his boots being metal, and they don't his ankles don't articulate, they just swivel. So it's a pain in the ass figure, but standing up and down it looks pretty good, especially like with the goggles and the helmet on. It looks to me just how it did in the film. Even the head sculpt isn't horrible on that one, but the new one looks really good, and the likeness is really good. So it's an awesome interpretation of the character. Like I think I like it even more just because it's, who would have thought we would have ever got that in 1/6 scale form, that specific look for him. So I watched the clip today of this whole scene, and it's hilarious. I actually wish we got a little more, like another head sculpt with a more of a expressive head sculpt when he's like having his henchmen dance, or when he's talking to them. Like, it would have been nice to be able to capture some of those in photos, but I think that they nailed it. Yeah, they nailed it. It looks amazing, and actually I do have it on order. I had it on order with KG Hobby, and I got the invoice this morning, so I should have it in a week or two. But yeah, I'm excited to get it. I think it's awesome, dude.
Nice.
Hell yeah. And Feezy dropped in our private chat there for us. Thank you very much, Feezy. He says $210 for the timed edition, which includes the exclusive versions of the head sculpts there for Poison Ivy, and then $195 standard. So actually still pretty reasonable price point overall. Still in that $200 $200 range. Honestly, though, I would say for the most part, the Mondo figures, the difference in pricing between the timed edition and the standard is such a small margin, but you get so much more with every exclusive version that they do. I don't know why anybody would ever try to not get the exclusive, other than the fact that they don't like the pressure of time to lock in the order, for sure. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that there, Feezy. Definitely appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir.
In terms of this character, I mean, you know, I've seen people in the chat saying, you know, it's cool, but too bad it's from the worst of the films. You know, I was about 10 years old when this movie came out, so for me it was the sweet spot in terms of like, I didn't know really what a good story in a movie needed to entail at 10 years old. I just liked that it was a Batman movie. I liked that there were familiar characters. I liked Poison Ivy. I liked the brainless zombie Bane, even though it has nothing to do with the character of Bane really at all, other than they call him Bane. I still would have loved to see those figures, and I have seen Yost from Jazz Inc. actually tease a possible Poison Ivy Uma Thurman down the line. But I would also be okay, you know, if SooToys is doing the likeness on Arnie here this well, to look at doing a Poison Ivy themselves at the very least, and maybe a Bane. Feezy, do you agree? Do you think Batman and Robin is the worst of those films? Have you ever had any inclination to collect from them? And to add to that, be reminded that Hot Toys has actually shown us a tease for a possible George Clooney Batman and Robin as well, from this line. What are your thoughts?
I am reminded. I don't know about the worst one. I have to go back. I haven't seen this one and Forever in a minute, so I had to go back and to actually to say for sure. But anything after Returns, I just I kind of haven't really went back to revisit. So I just, Batman and Batman Returns are my Batman movie. So I don't know. It'd be tough for me to say if this is the worst one or not. But as far as the character on this, this is what I like, right? This is kind of one of the reasons why I collect third party and other scales in general, because they do stuff like this that we would normally get. So if I was really into this, if I really wanted this figure, I think I would definitely pick this up, just because, you know, where else can you get this? Like, I probably would just pick this up for the accessories alone, the look, the robe, the slippers, you know, that ice couch or ice love seats, sofa chair.
Right.
Just the accessories. It's just cool, man. It's just like the way it looks. And the head sculpt, I don't know, has anyone seen final in hand photos of this? Does it look as good?
It does. In fact, I almost think it
okay.
almost looks better. I was going to post the photos today in this chat, but I didn't have permission from the guy who posted it, so I didn't want to steal his photos. But they are floating
okay.
around the internet for sure, and they do look pretty damn good.
Yeah, man. Again, yeah, it's just unlicensed companies who are actually putting some effort into their figures. You know, this is the results of that, right? They just kind of nail it on there. So yeah, it looks good. And but it's a pass for me, just because again, I kind of have to like tailor my stuff down, and this movie, those movies like I mentioned aren't ones that I would buy figures from. But yeah, it looks cool. You know, I'm sure Eddie's gonna have fun with it, and everyone else getting this figure. It looks awesome, man. I just like the way that the rope and just that whole touch on it. You can maybe even put those slippers on Deadpool. That's what was one of my thoughts on there, or somebody else, just for fun, or just you can be creative, man. It's just cool. The possibilities are endless.
Definitely.
I can
Seeing a figure in their pajamas is awesome.
Yeah.
I always like wondered how people only collect like one type of thing, or like, you know, try to keep themselves so rigid in collecting. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and for specifically DC, I can only collect Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and be happy and not have anything else. And it's not even that they're my favorite. Like, I love the Dark Knight trilogy as Batman overall, and I even love Batman versus Superman and the Snyder Justice League like a lot. But just as collecting wise, I can collect these two movies and be perfectly happy, just because to me it's freaking cool. And I don't watch the movies either. I just watch clips that I like on YouTube if I want to go back and watch something specifically. But yeah, watching the whole movie is kind of tough, so I don't blame anybody. And you know, I know why people don't like them, but yeah, I could be just as happy just collecting these for DC and not have another thought about anything.
Is that because of the character designs? Do you really like those? Is that why, compared to all the other Batman? What is it about?
Yeah, I do. I love the character designs. I love the actors that played them. And it's a lot of it is just nostalgia of what I remember from it that I love so much. And yeah, another thing is it's Arnold, like arguably one of my most iconic heroes of all time in acting and in bodybuilding. So yeah.
Talking about 80s legends right there. 80s movies.
Exactly.
Speaking of.
gotta love Arnie for sure. Quick interruption here. We got Mr. Collector Joey in the house with us, member for 7 months already, good friend of the show here. He says hello nuts in his super chat, a part of that membership group. Thank you for being here, good sir. Make sure, if for any reason at all the 70 people here watching have never heard of Collector Joey, make sure you go over there and become not only a Joey member, but also watch his awesome show, Copper Drop, on Thursdays. Although, you know, he's got a this or that segment, which I think I'm going to have to strike him for at some point, because I don't know about you, buddy, but sounds like something that's very familiar here on the Ben Thomas Show. But I'm just teasing you, buddy. I love you. We actually have a Collector Joey slide near the end of the show today that I'm going to use, and I did not ask his permission. So I guess it's all's fair in love and war. But Collector Joey's done an amazing job at collecting all of the announcements of the year of 2024 so far, and I wanted to highlight that there as well. So you'll get shouted out here in a bit, just in case you have to leave for whatever reason, buddy. But otherwise, Collector Joey, you're the man, buddy. Thank you for being here. Any final thoughts here, Chris, on Mr. Ice before we move on, or Batman and Robin as a film, if you don't think you'd get the figure itself?
I remember seeing this. I might have only seen this in theaters once for reference, but I vividly remember when Frieza's like hockey player goons are like skating around his lair. I'm like, this is just like the freaking Adam West show. This is hilarious. They all got like goons that are like themed after them. But yeah, I think the real and this is not from memory, obviously, given that, but I think the real spotlight here is like how well that paint application looks, like the makeup with the little silver flakes in it. Like you can tell if it's anything like that, and I don't know how finely ground those silver flakes are to get the sense of scale right, but that looks how he does in the movie. Like, that's an interesting detail that you wouldn't expect from some fly-by-night operation, but there it is. But yeah, man, it looks good.
I mean, you say fly by night, but I would still argue that SooToys is miles better than the licensed company Star Ace, which I can barely look at any of their figures without laughing.
Star
and
Ace
doing
sound-
the Dr. No.
That sounds like a fake company, just the name of it. Star
It
Ace.
does.
Yeah.
It does. Good call out on the paint application though, because yeah, 100% you're right. Like when you see him in person, they've got it like his head like sparkly in the makeup application in the film, making him look like he's literally cold to the touch, which is wild. So Shiny says, wax lips are immune to your charms. You'd love to see it. Yeah, if the Robin doesn't come with peel off lips, it's a missed opportunity. Or ice skates out the bottom of their boots, right? So yeah, 100%. Guys, let's move on. But yeah, great thoughts on Mr. Freeze here. Mr. Ice. I'll be jealous of anybody who gets him in hand. I might have to hunt for one myself because it was one that I kind of want. Really quick segment on this, but I just thought it was worthy of shouting out. Damn Toys has posted up like a teaser or announcement of a Marilyn Monroe 1-to-1 scale figure. Now, this is not, or statue, I don't even think you could call it a figure at this point. This is one of the most beautiful pieces I have ever seen, ever. It's shocking. I'm not a huge Marilyn Monroe fan, to be honest with you, but like, oh my god, does it look like her? And wow, is it real looking? It made me think like, if I ever wanted a 1-to-1 scale bust like this, who would it be? I don't think it would be Marilyn Monroe for me, but I don't know what I would want to see in a collection room. I've seen the Christian Bales. I've seen some of the other ones that exist. I've always thought like a Hulk bust would be crazy, but can you imagine the size of that in 1-to-1 to scale in your living room? Like that'd be freaking wild. So maybe something Star Wars related. Like I'd love to see like some Darth, a Darth Vader version or something like that. But something like this that shows so much skin and beauty and everything is just wild. So while this is a 6 scale channel primarily, Damn Toys, bravo. This is absolutely stunning. Anybody on the panel, have you guys seen this tease? Is this something that you guys would ever actually consider chasing down at all? Or again, more like myself, just impressed by the artistry? What about you, Chris?
I'm curious. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Damn Toys, but I'm curious, like from a legal perspective, what the deal with this is, because like has she achieved the status of being a public domain? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you have to pay anybody to make a 1-to-1 bust of a former U.S. president, for example. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what his family thinks about it, but because like I feel like if they tried to pull something like this with a living actress, there'd be somebody be coming after them. I don't know. Like the way they wrote that signature up there implies that it implies that it's by the book. I'd just be curious how that works. I'm not positive if this is referencing a specific film with the limited costume the way it is or not. I'm not super. I've seen like 3 or 4 of her movies that were a good time, but it's interesting. But there's been companies doing these 1-to-1 busts for a while that are it's the silicone skin and everything, and it's not for me. I feel like it freaked you out a little bit every time you saw it in weird light in the house.
Yeah, you need to have almost like I feel like for stuff like this you almost need like a mansion and like a hall, like a movie hallway, or like an icon hallway where it's big enough that it doesn't actually look gigantic in your space, because otherwise it's like half a person, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty wild to just have that, and like I can't imagine that in like my entertainment area in the living room. As I said, you need a freaking hallway for stuff like this. But I've been to wax museums, for example, where you see wax interpretations of Marilyn Monroe, and like none of those nail it like this. Like this is friggin' insane. Easy, any thoughts? What do you guys like? I don't. Maybe they've already posted it and I just haven't seen it yet. What do you guys think would be like a reasonable price point for something like this? What do you think, Feezy?
Oh man, reasonable. I don't even know. I have no comparison.
Thousands, right? Like
I would think like my initial thoughts like 4,000 or 5,000, but I don't know. I could be off. Again, I'm just estimating here. I have no idea.
Yeah, pulling it
but
out.
No, I do appreciate the artistry on this. Yeah, this does look great. And I was thinking along the same lines that this could either be for a wealthy film cinema exec producer or somebody along those lines who just has that love for for film and film history, or like it would go like in a museum type setup or something, someone on a display in a business or something. I don't know about anything other than that than the common collector, but I could be wrong. It's just, but it is beautiful. It's I do appreciate the artistic nature of it. It's just really awesome.
Hell yeah. Let me know, guys, in the chat what your, unless you already know, because I don't know if it's been posted, what are your thoughts on what this is going to actually be priced at? Eddie, last but certainly not least, I don't think you're a Marilyn Monroe guy. I could be wrong, but is there a character that you would ever consider getting a life-size bust of if you either had the money and or the space?
This is where you'd be wrong. I think a lot of people...
Okay.
I don't know if a lot of people don't know this about me, but I think people wouldn't know it to look at me. Marilyn Monroe is probably one of my favorite actresses of all time. Like,
I'll have to be around.
I think all of my movies that I've seen in the 50s are Marilyn Monroe movies. I love that sort of, I love that time period, and I love the sort of like comedy that we got out of that time. And Some Like It Hot is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and The 7-Year Itch.
Nice.
Those are all some of my favorite movies. So,
dude, how pissed off the dad in 7-Year Itch gets at his kid for like leaving toys just around the house. He almost is like, that's like proto Homer Simpson in some ways. Like, that's good stuff, man.
Chris is like, it warmed my heart.
7-Year Itch would be a good movie to watch with your girl, Ben. You guys would enjoy it. Like, if you have a movie night and you guys want to like nothing too serious and just have a laugh and relationship kind of a movie, it'd be pretty good to check out. But I've actually looked into buying, there's some statues of Marilyn in quarter scale that Blitzway did. I think Star Ace even did. They either did a statue or a figure, but none of them I've loved that much. Blitzway has one that's pretty good, but I would love to have some kind of representation of her in my collection. But it might even just be like an art print or like a movie poster of those or something. This would be insane if I like you guys said, if I had like a theater room with like just some stuff representing like some of the greats. This would be awesome to have in there if I was rich, because I think it looks freaking insane, dude. And it, like how Chris said, like some of the life-size stuff that's like super realistic can be kind of creepy, but this would be cool to have, I think, in a theater room. So I think it's awesome. It'll probably be like, I think these are usually like around 4,000 to 6,000 anywhere in between there. So it'll probably be around there, because usually they're silicone and rooted, and you see all the glass eyes and all that kind of stuff. So
they're insane. I am happy I was wrong on that, Eddie. I thought if of all of us, you'd be the one that's like, I have no interest in this at all. So
I was raised by a single mother, and she like is obsessed with the 50s, and like in a very embarrassing, annoying way. Like as a kid, she would dress and have hairstyles from this in the like 90s and early 2000s, and so my friends would see her pick me up from school with like a Marilyn style hairstyle, and I was like, you stand out and I'm the kind of person like I don't really want to stand out. I'd rather go unseen in public, so like, but she loved the color pink and bright red lipstick, and so like I think that's where the love came from.
That's awesome. Eddie, when you saw this, right?
I am soaking wet right now.
Eddie, since you're the Marilyn Monroe fan, what would you say of her movie still holds up? Because I don't think I've seen any of hers.
I think if you can appreciate, like, so some of it you're gonna have to like go back and like appreciate, because some of it's black and white. Like Some Like It Hot is black and white. I think Gentlemen Prefer Blondes is black and white. Maybe it's not, I don't remember, I haven't seen it in a while. But like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Some Like It Hot, 7-Year Itch, Niagara is a little more serious than it is as funny. But did I say Bus Stop? Like those are all good. Those are all good, like to watch now, and they still hold up. But you have to be in that mindset of like, it's a 50s movie. They're all 50s movies, but they're still really good, and you get lost in them, I think.
So, okay, nice. Check some of those out.
That's fair. 12-inch Moose Stream with a $2 super chat. He says here, if I buy Marilyn bust, I can give up my P-Hub sub. Oh, you love to see it. That is spicy right there, good sir. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. For this, I was thinking about just quitting early, but since you've paid me now, Moose, this is for you.
5. I'll stay.
I'm going to pretend like it was a $5 super chat, but I like it. Also, this is for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the generosity, good sir. Guys, let's move on because we got a couple more things to do here before we wrap for the day. I wanted to quickly address the Hono toys that has popped up here for this Iron Man classic looking version. Now, I did a this or that video on the channel. A lot of you have probably already had a chance to see it. But of course, Hot Toys gave us a classic version of Iron Man in diecast. That sold out pretty quickly for the most part. People started getting in them, in the collections. They're relatively happy with it from what I've heard. But now Hono is showing that they're going to do more from the classic comic inspired looking line. Now, this is not diecast. This does come with like the latex suit, it sounds like, there for the most part. He does have a magnetic activated LED arc reactor. So I'll be curious. My guess in terms of making this seamless is that for some way you're able to take off the chest piece here and put the batteries underneath. And that's kind of how or where those will go. Because otherwise, when you're taking a look at the legs and everything, they're completely seamless. The arms are also seamless. And to be honest, when I compared this directly next to a photo of the Hot Toys version, I actually think the Hot Toys one looks cheaper just because of the exposed joints. And again, as much as you guys know how much I like joints, not necessarily on my 6 scale offerings. Now, one of the biggest points of contention here has been the price point, Jay, because this is coming in at the $215 range, which is now about $55 to $65 more expensive than their entry grade pricing that we saw with the Wolverines. So a lot of people are pissed because they're like, well, we knew it was going to happen, right? Oh, like you guys, you're pulling a fast one. You got us in at 165, but now you're creeping the price, and now 215 feels really expensive. I've seen people say, well, don't justify the price, especially to me. Don't justify the price, Ben. But I think that there's some reasons here for why this might be the cost that it is, at least with regards to the lighting system, how much R&D it took to run wiring through this to make it have the ability to light up with this magnetic piece. I think that $215 is not a bad price, especially when we were talking about a $450 plus Chewbacca earlier in the stream that people are willing to just buy when they say, well, this feels too expensive for $215. It's like, okay, but like how much cheaper do you want these to stay? Nobody wants to pay more, but I think if this is the comic representation of this character you truly, truly want, the $215 is still pretty cheap with regards to like most figures. That Poison Ivy that we saw earlier that is 100% a scaled up plastic version of what already exists in the world is more expensive than this. Mondo needs to adjust their price point. I think Hono is still at least in the realm of entry grade pricing. Now, if they continue to increase their pricing release after release or announcement after announcement, that's when you'll hear me get a little bit more spicy about that. But I would not be surprised if we saw the next character being something like Thor still be in that 165 to 175 range. I would not be surprised. And maybe over time, they'll slowly condition us on this pricing as everything else inflates in price as well. This is one that I have pre-ordered. I didn't get the original classic one. I think this could look really cool in a display. And I said this out loud the other day, and I don't think people agreed with me, but I don't care. I think it could be cool to see this next to my MCU Iron Man, just to see kind of like the evolution from comics to film realistic. I think that those two together could look really cool. But I could also see a justification for having your own shelf of comic-inspired figures. So, with all of that being said, Feezy, I want your thoughts really quickly on the Hono Iron Man, the price point, and what other classic characters would you like to see Hono tackle?
All right, so I'll try to summarize my thoughts because I went pretty in depth on this yesterday on my stream on the figure let on. So I did a comparison of this with the 1/12 scale figures that are available, Marvel Legends, Mafex, and then the Hot Toys, right? If you look at those pricing, the highest being Mafex, 115-ish USD, to the Hot Toys you're talking about, that's like 400, 410 USD. There's a big gap there, right? So I think what Hono came out with this whole entry grade, you kind of think, okay, entry to what, right? What's the reference for that? And my thought is, with that gap, that could be entry grade for people who are not already 1/6 collectors, right? So if they look at the Hot Toys Iron Man, that's $400. You see this Iron Man figure, $215 come in. That seems a little more attractive than $400, right? Compared to also if you're a 1/12 scale collector looking to go into 1/6, again, you're looking at that price. Or even if you weren't collecting at all and you just want an Iron Man and you see this is a good option for those who just kind of want that but don't want all the bells and whistles of the die cast and all the multiple accessories. And so I think Hono is kind of aiming more, that's their demographic there, that type of non-collector or the collector who are coming from 1/12 in that realm. So I think I agree with you, $215 in that aspect is good when it's compared to like $400, right? It's a good price. But I do see the arguments that, like, okay, previous Honos were this much, 160, 180, 150 around there. And so why is this that much more? Is the electronics in there worth that much? So, I mean, I don't know. That's for all of us to decide if we're willing to pay that much. But I think it's still reasonable. And they never said it was going to be, under $200. It just says entry grade pricing. So what that means to everybody is going to be different. As far as the next,
point, by the way, what everybody feels about entry grade pricing is very subjective.
Yeah. Just like what is cheap, what's expensive, it's all relative. As far as the next figure, I was thinking about that. I have to come back to me on that, because even, you told me in advance and I still couldn't think of one. It seems like they're doing kind of masked, for the most part, helmeted figures, with the Thor. So I'm trying to think here of who they could do next. Personally, I would want another type of X-Men, like I know we got Mondo, Omega Red, but I would like to see maybe like Omega Red as my first thought of Burt, but another villain, an X-Men villain. But yeah, I don't know. Realistically, I think they might do something with Spider-Man, because if you look, they have 2 X-Men figures, right? Wolverine and Magneto. They're gonna soon have 2 Avengers, right? Iron Man and Thor. Right now, Spider-Man is kind of rolling solo there, so I think they would do a villain for him. My initial thought would be Venom, like to actually get a comic accurate Venom and not like the one from the game that Hot Toys did. That would be cool, but I don't know. As far as who I'd want, I don't know. I'm still up in the air on that one, so I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, you see the classic looking thing there, eh? And again, what we were talking about earlier with Fantastic Four having that kind of big like rocky brow ridge, I think would be cool.
Rock hard.
Rock hard. I would also really like to see a Hulk, honestly. Now, would that break the entry level price point though for the scale and size of a Hulk? And maybe if they did it seamless, I would say like I'm maybe still sub 300, but that would be a pricey boy. I would think. Venom is a good call out too, dude. Like a classic comic looking Venom, like that could be freaking sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, great thoughts, buddy. Eddie, what are your thoughts here on the Hono Iron Man, especially in comparison to maybe what we've seen with Hot Toys, price point wise? And then same question: are there any future characters you're hoping Hono tackles?
I think the figure looks beautiful. Like, it stands out a lot, and that was the first thing I thought when I saw it. Is like, it's so like beautiful of a figure that it makes me want it, even though I don't really want a classic Iron Man or like have any reason to buy one. I just think it looks amazing. I kind of really like the seamless arms and legs. Like, I know a lot of people are gonna have mixed opinions on that, and kind of like the way that Hot Toys has been doing it, because it works for Iron Man. Like, joints aren't too crazy, but I do really love the look of it. The only thing that I'd be worried about, like, is it seamless because it's silicone, or is there like a jointed, like, is the silicone underneath a latex cover that's like the gold? Because if it has the layer over the silicone, I don't think it'll articulate as well. It looks like it does everything it needs to in pictures. I just don't like that, like, that overlay over a body that Hot Toys does with like Thanos, or I can't think of another
Venom.
Specifically,
honestly, it's got
Thanos,
like the air. It's like almost
where,
like an air
where you
bubble
bend
underneath.
it and there's that wrinkling there. Like with seamless, it doesn't get that as much, and it doesn't look too crazy in these pictures. So I'm guessing that it doesn't have like too bad of an overlay or whatever. So I like it. I think it looks really good. Another thing that just stood out to me, I was looking at pictures while you guys were talking right now. It doesn't look like the ankles articulate at all. And my two biggest things are the look and the articulation. And that, and one of the worst things to not have is ankle articulation, because it limits a lot how you can pose this figure without using a stand, and even with a stand, like,
well, especially for a character that can fly.
So
That's a good call.
So that would bug me a lot. Hopefully they could work that in there. And then as far as the price point, I think it's still pretty cheap. I know there's no die cast in it at all, and it is creeping up there. I guess the magnetic feature is what's like taking it to that new level, and maybe the way that they did those arms with the metallic look of a silicone, like that's a lot different for silicone. So I'm sure I can see where the money went into tooling and stuff to make it more of a pricey figure, so it doesn't really bug me that much. It's probably going to bug me more that everybody's going to make it a big fucking talking point than it is that it actually is $215. So I like it a lot. It's not something that I need, but I do love the figure a lot, and I'd like to see it in person, see how it comes out. But obviously I'm waiting for the Thor. It sucks that he was like the second one teased with Magneto, and we still haven't seen him yet. I don't know why I don't know. They have to go back to the drawing board with that one, or work something out.
Because they had shown I think they'd shown like an updated picture of Thor 2, and people were complaining that he looked kind of cheap. So I also wonder if they were like, ooh, maybe it's still too cheap. Like maybe they needed to tweak it a little bit before
so
they
it could
put
be
it out.
more expensive for them.
No, more expensive. Yeah. No, now it's $185. You hate to see it. Thor for you though, buddy.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that one.
What I also just realized is this little magnet piece that the person is holding here. It almost looks like those are like magnetically attached to the belt here, potentially, or like his hip joints. So like, I wonder if that's where those go, which is kind of cool, because in my original thoughts video on it, I was like, make sure you don't lose those. But if it's on the figure all the time, that's actually a much better way to store it, if those are in fact the case. Chris, any thoughts on classic looking Iron Man here from Hono Toys? Price point wise, pretty attractive still overall, considering if you're just kind of building up the display. Were you a classic kind of character guy, like comic inspired MCU or like Marvel, or do you prefer like MCU versions nowadays?
Man, my initial thought on this is like, is nobody like worried about those knees and those arms, or at this price point are people just like, I don't mind rolling the dice on it, see what happens? Like, because we've seen,
I think it's a rolling the dice thing.
Yeah. So I guess that the risk level is acceptable for the price point, I guess. Are they doing anything different with that material? Because you've seen Hot Toys splitting seamless arms not long after release. It doesn't even take a long time, depending how far you push it, right? I don't know. Maybe it's some thick material, and I don't know. Maybe it's a little more plasticky than they're used to. But I don't know. It's not for me. But I think that the what's nice about what they're doing here is, I guess, Mondo is sort of focusing on like X-Men animated series, and I think if they with this Hono line, if they stick to like earlier designs, like 70s comics style, there's a lot of room for them to do some interesting stuff. Like what I would love to see is like a 70s Punisher, like from like Spider-Man like 129, something like that. Like that'd be cool. Like like there's an old Bowen statue of that Punisher from that cover. Like that's a distinct costume. Something like that would be cool. The images you've chosen here are all like sort of 70s, so I think they probably have a requirement to sort of stick to the comic accurate license and avoid the stuff that Mondo's doing anyways. So maybe like that, him or Daredevil would interest me for another one coming up.
Hell yeah. No, well said, buddy. Eddie, just curious, like what your thoughts are in terms of like Hot Toys also giving us their kind of version of the comic inspired looking Iron Man not that long ago, and now Hono's doing it. Like, with Hono being a sister brand to Hot Toys, like Hot Toys is literally advertising Hono on their own, like, Facebooks and stuff like that. Do you feel like they're double dipping in terms of these releases? Do you think that like really Hot Toys should just pass the torch to Hono at this point for comic inspired line? What do you think there?
Have we seen a new comic figure announced since they've kind of unleashed Hono? Like, since they've showed that to the public, we haven't seen a new comic
Not
figure
from Hot
announced, right?
Toys.
So
I don't think so.
maybe this Hono is sort of a reaction to what they got from their comic line, and like maybe they thought, oh, in this sort of genre, making super expensive like die-cast figures, or maybe it's not working out, so let's try to do it this way, or maybe they'll still do it. I don't necessarily think that they are like screwing themselves with the line, because you're still going to get die cast out of the Iron Man. You're still going to get a little more accessories and things if they end up doing a comic line for Hot Toys specifically. I do think that Hono is the better route, even if they end up creeping up in price a little. But as long as they stay under 250, I don't want them to do that, but you know, 250 seems to be the general like entry point for 1/6 scale with Mondo, and like, well, 3.0 keeps it pretty low, which is interesting. I think they could take notes from 3.0, but as long as it stays under there with extra accessories and stuff, I think Hono is the sweet spot for comic, especially because I feel like people that want the comic stuff tend to not want to spend as much anyway. So, and I still think they're doing a great job with the figures. To me, they don't seem cheap at all. I know people say that they're worried about that, and I don't know if anybody's ever come out and said anything with the Wolverine drops yet, like if it actually
I think most people have been really
cheap,
impressed with Wolverine from everything that I've seen. So
yeah, so I think it's great, and I think they could still do both. They just have to really try to make that offering for the expensive stuff like really worth it, because you know, with Iron Man you could do the die-cast stuff, but with anything else they try to do, it's like you have to throw in a lot to make it more worth a higher price one.
for sure, I think it would be smart for Hono to take it over. I think one of the challenges Hot Toys must face is that, you know, the Hot Toys has conditioned us all for very like movie realistic looking figures in our collection, right? It looks like an actual person in 1/6 scale. But when you're trying to take something off of a comic book page that is drawn and not actually like a real person, there's like this uncanny valley aspect to then the figure, because it's like, do we then go what looks like drawn artwork in figure format, or do we try and scale up the paintwork to make it look like real person in a suit in a comic inspired look? And how do you do that without it then automatically feeling kind of cheap looking, but for the price point they're asking? So like the Hot Toys version, like I said, it almost looks on the cheap side because of the joints and the paint applications and the cartoony looking Tony sculpt, right? But if they slide those types of comic inspired versions into a Hono line that they've already conditioned us for being entry price point, stuff like that, like they've set the expectations, then it's an easier nut to swallow, really, when you look at it, right? Because it's like, okay, I can give them a pass because it's supposed to be a little lower in price. It's supposed to be an entry point, and because it's representing an animated or drawn version of the character, I can see why it looks kind of cartoony in comparison to a Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man in your display that looks like he's ripped right from a film. I think they'd be smart to keep it mostly in Hono at this point.
It's funny you bring that up. I was going to mention it last CW we did, because we were talking about something, but it wasn't this Iron Man. I forgot what we were talking about, but there's been a long debate in the statue world where, because Prime One Studio makes insane statues, right? And they're usually like super textured and detailed. And then you have companies that do stuff like Tweeterhead, which is like a newer, they're like more up and coming statue company, but they do it more to the comic look, where it's smoother costumes, a little bit more of like it's ripped out of the page of the comic instead of that super fine texturing and everything. And it's a debate of like, do you want to pay more money for the super texturing? But some comic fans like actually like the comic accurate look, where it's just the smooth materials and like not overdone. And it's crazy how subjective all that stuff could be. And in our heads, we've made it seem like over texturing and everything is what makes us want to spend more money. But at the same time, someone could love that non-texturing just as much. So what makes it any any more worth to them if it has that or not. And like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's so
Yeah, I hear
crazy
you.
how subjective it just brings it back to that point of like that OG fan was talking about in the chat of like being sick of hearing the price debate. It really is a super subjective debate when you don't know all of the details and everything, and it's all going to be based on your preference. So it's kind of wild. Like, I really dig the old comic look and kind of the toned down stuff for the Hono stuff. So I think it works, but also I can appreciate the other stuff too. And it's a crazy thing that I think we let go over our heads sometimes.
Sure, I don't like when they try to force it somewhere in between. Like, I think it either needs to look like the comics or it needs to look like the real life actor. But I think the division of the two lines then makes more sense that way, at least for me. For sure. Michael J in the chat says, did I miss the Beetlejuice discussion? You did, because we have not had it today. I may or may not talk about it in the coming Let's Get Nuts shows, though. So stay tuned for the following Sunday shows. I'm going to go see the film first, and then maybe we'll have like either a light spoiler discussion or maybe a full spoiler discussion on it. Because Beetlejuice is one of my favorite films of all time, and I am hella nervous about how I'm going to feel, at least, about the second film. I don't really like what I'm seeing from the trailer so far, I'm not gonna lie. But guys, let's move on to our last slide of the day. And again, shout out to Collector Joey. I've highlighted him in big bolding here because finding all of these orders and putting it all in together in a nice, like, condensed slide probably took the man freaking hours to do, let's be honest. So shout out to Joey. Thank you for supplying this to the internet so everybody could steal it and talk about it, including myself. You are a Tough Nut crew member, and I appreciate you, good sir. I wanted to quickly highlight this. This is all, at least as of right now, announcements from Hot Toys in 2024. And it's amazing, you know, because oftentimes, like this week, I even messaged Eddie before the show to say, like, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Because it's actually kind of light on figure news right now. And it was only 3 weeks ago where it was like figure drop after figure drop after figure drop. And I was like, oh my God, like, it's too much to keep up with as a YouTuber. And B, like, my wallet will never regain its strength from this month. And then we have a week where I'm like, okay, is there anything that's gonna happen here? Like any new announcements? Like, where the hell are they all? When you see them though all on a slide like this, you realize already how many we've already received, and how impactful that can be for our budgets, our collection spaces, and all of the things. And so I was curious, just taking a look at this now, what would you guys say are your top 3 most anticipated figures from this slide? I'll go first. I would say, as of right now, my top 3 most anticipated would be the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I cannot wait to get that guy in my display in the future. I'm also really excited for the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I had very purposely decided to not go in on the InArt 2-pack or 4-pack because I just didn't need that many representations of that character. However, I do want to have every representation of the Joker in my collection possible. So I'm really excited to get Joaquin Phoenix in the display as well. And then lastly, I gotta say, probably Chewbacca. While I'm not happy with the price point, I've wanted Chewie in the display with my kind of OG Star Wars characters for about as long as I've been collecting the Star Wars lineup. So those 3 I think I'm most excited for, but there's a lot of really friggin' awesome announcements on here. So what do you guys think? Feezy, I'll start with you. Top 3 on this list from 2024, if you can see the little pictures.
Yeah, damn, put me on
It's
the spot.
tiny.
I was like,
I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we didn't bring Classy Thomas in. That poor guy would be like, you know, like, what? Is that an old lady in there? Like you said,
yeah,
about
who's that old lady on the
Emperor.
left? Yeah, with the red sword. Man, yeah, this is tough, man. There's a lot of bangers here this year, or that were announced this year. I would probably, I'd probably have to go with Deadpool because I think that would be a fun figure. Because I don't have that one yet. Man, either Revan or Starkiller, one of those, because those are both just badass looking. But one of those, and then my third one, I'm gonna have to go with Wolverine. I still don't have my Tiger Stripe, so I should get that soon. But from this list, since he's on here, I would go with the brown suit Wolverine.
Very nice, very nice. I forgot to give an honorable mention or potentially a replacement for Chewie. The only other one that I would put on my list is Captain Jack Sparrow. He's just such an iconic character. I didn't even see him in there again, and
There's
that
a
was
lot,
one
man.
I was really excited about for that one. But like even like, oh man, even Grievous, like there's no chance in hell I can put that in my display. But yeah, what about you, Eddie? What would you say? And it's hard to do, but top 3 most anticipated on this list.
Probably my top 3 are probably. Wolverine is probably number 1 because it's probably my favorite character of all of these on here. And I'm gonna cheat and count the shirtless one as the same thing.
Yep.
Just Wolverine in general from Deadpool.
Are you getting
Wolverine.
both? Are you thinking about getting both?
I'm gonna get both. I don't have either of them on pre-order just because I'm trying to not do the pre-order thing anymore. But I plan on getting both.
The shirtless one makes me feel bad about my fitness level at this point. Even still.
It should help you, man. It's inspiration, you know.
It's motivation.
Yeah, there you go. And then other stuff that I do have on pre-order that I'm excited to get is Han Solo, probably.
Yeah.
I need a Han figure, and the last one would be Armored Batman, because I love that movie so much. And yeah, and I love Ben in general as Batman, and I love that look for Ben specifically. So the honorable mention would be Jack. I was thinking that right now. I was like, because I actually have Jack, Han Solo, and the Armored Batman on pre-order. So I was like, I should go with my pre-orders. But Wolverine is new, and I definitely need that too. So those would be my choices.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned Han too, because once again, the pictures are a little on the small side for me on my screen, but like even Han, like I don't have a Han Solo in my collection yet, so I'm also got Return of the Jedi Han on order. I still think I'm more excited for Chewie than Han, because I still think that eventually we're either going to get I think we'll get a Bespin Han still at some point. I would not be surprised. I mean, people have been asking for it forever. So the Return of the Jedi version of Han with his bigger, more coiffed hair, I never liked as much as some of his previous versions, but I put him on order because if it happens to be the only Han we ever get, then I don't want to miss out on getting one in the collection. But he didn't necessarily make my top 3. Blur Dad Life, a channel member for 6 months, dude, thank you so much for the support, says, how did Star Race get Ghostbusters? Yeah, good question. I was going to put Star Race Ghostbusters on the list for today, but the show started to already get a little bit long. Let us know, guys, if you want us to talk about that next week. Put it in the chat, and I will add it to our show sheet, because I also definitely have some feelings about that figure, or figures specifically. Chris, I know you're not a huge 6-scale collector, but there's still a lot of cool shit on this list. What would you say if you were going to go deep into 6-scale collecting? What would be your top 3 here?
Well, like shockingly, I have actually pre-ordered a solitary figure that's on this list. But yeah, so like I'll just exclude the Marvel stuff because like there's no chance I'd ever buy any of it. But to each their own. But sure. There's three Star Wars figures on here that are not like the others, and the reason for that is they're all extremely non-canon, and it's about damn time. And there's a lot more non-canon Star Wars characters that I would be inclined to purchase, and that's the Dark Empire Luke, Starkiller, and Revan. And I know Revan's quasi sort of canon, but let's be honest, they're going to ruin him, and it's going to be a sad day. They literally are. They admitted themselves they can't just upscale Knights of the Old Republic. There's too many problematic story details in it that we need to put foam edges on. So we just have to remake the whole game, and it stalled out 2 or 3 times. So they're like, no, we had trouble ruining Knights of the Old Republic. What do we do? Let's just wait a few years and we'll get to it later. Anyways, Revan's cool, and that Starkiller is like 2 layers of not canon because it's from an alternate ending of the game and DLC that was not even canon before Disney purchased the company. So that's like triple not canon Starkiller. I wish they would make a Sam Witwer like normal looking version of that character. I would buy that in a second, and I'm looking forward to Dark Empire Luke. Hell
yeah, absolutely. X-Men Supreme says Wolverine, nice. Deadpool, and Widow. Great picks, but he also said he's got 15 of them on order, so that's pretty wild. Yeah, 15 on order. That's insane. Kenny Lang says Widow, Widow Manta and Superior Spider. That's an interesting list. I like to see it. Something a little different. Hell yeah. Moose says, I like talking shit about shit. Star Ace. Fair. We'll bring it into the next show if we're light on news, because I'm sure everybody feels a little on the spicy side with regards to that. Guys, great show today. I want to thank my panelists for joining early. All three of them gave me heads up notice nice early in advance that I could plan to have some great discussions with you guys today. For the 50 to 70 people that were watching live today, thank you again so much for being part of not only the Let's Get Nuts community, if you're a member, but also just watching week over week, tuning in, sending me all the lovely comments that you guys do every week to let us know that you like what you're seeing here on the show, and that you just have fun with us and get a little nuts and go a little wild. So if you're like Moose, don't drop your P-Hub subscription quite yet. There might be some other more attractive figures that come out this year. For everybody else, don't forget, if you want to become part of the channel membership, the link is in the comments right now for you guys. Feel free to become so. It would be great to have you. If not, your support just watching, subscribing, liking, all of the things is certainly more than enough support for us as well. If you want to have some of these cool member badges beside your name, though, they are available to you. Of course, the Tough Nut Crew, we have now 2 editions. So we've got Ryan Dean is a new addition that will be added to the list, and as well as Big Rib. But otherwise, we got Alvin J Collecting Weekly, Money Mendez, 6 Scale Mafia, Katera Feezy's Figures King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1/6 Figure Focus, SpongeBob, Square Balls, Rogue One Photography, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, Jose G Hernandez, 12-Inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, Blurred Dad Life, Danny Spotchka, Rachel Miller, Honest Hansel, Action in the Box, Figurecraft, Neilerific, Action Figure Academy, X-Men Supreme, Don Matan, Kenneth Jacobson, Valkyrie Magnus, Adrian Cervantes, Alex Serrato, Christopher Balzano, Pop Culture Relics, One Adam 12, Evil Sneaker, and Trevor Weed. Don't forget, guys, keep an eye out on YouTube social there on the posting I'm going to put up when we have a next member giveaway. I'm excited to get some figures out of my collection, and I've got a couple on or in arrangement with an associated group as well. So let me know if you want to become a member here soon, or if you do, I'll add you to the slide and we'll get you into that member giveaway. Mr. Feezy, it was great having you back, buddy. Thank you so much for taking your time on a holiday weekend Sunday to be with us here and the boys. Anything coming up on your channel we can look forward to or keep an eye out for?
I just, like I mentioned, I did a long ass stream yesterday, a Figure Lowdown, episode 19, so check that out. Like almost just 4 hours, so a lot of content there, but as usual there's timestamps so you can skip around if you need to. So I don't have anything upcoming because of that, because I just had that one. So I would just say just keep an eye on my socials or on the YouTube, on my YouTube channel to see when I'll do my next one. It's kind of usually how it goes. Oh yeah, reminder also, I put this in the chat, but yeah, NFL's coming up soon for people here in the States. So those NFL fans, I know that time of year is coming up again. Regular season starts Thursday, this coming Thursday. So just a heads up, FYI on that. But yeah, no, Ben, thanks again for having me. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to come on today, because I had the time, because in a weekend, and I don't know when the next time I'll be on again is. But thanks for having me. Yeah, it's always fun. Chris, Eddie, of course, man. It's always good streaming with you guys. Hopefully you do it again.
Buddy. Thanks for coming back. And thanks for reminding me about football. Let me know, guys, of the, again, 50 to 70 people that watch kind of week over week. Should I consider moving the time slot even an hour later to allow for some football viewership? It would be hard to move it off of a different day because I don't think the YouTube analytics would recognize the show anymore, to be honest. YouTube's really finicky that way. But let me know. I'm always willing to consider a slightly later time as well. Eddie, thanks for coming back in, buddy. I definitely appreciate when you throw your hand up. Always good to have you here. Really appreciated your takes today. I know we get a chance to see each other on Collecting Weekly, but is there anywhere else that you're looking to pop up here over the next week or two?
It'll probably just be Collecting Weekly this week. I don't think no one else has asked this week, that's the only weekly show I do. I have been meaning to hop on with Feezy. I was gonna hop on yesterday, but it was an early show, and I tend to sleep in on the weekends because it's the only time I can. So
it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, I'll get on with Feezy soon because I like streaming with Feezy. Thanks for having me. I love doing Sundays, and I'm not a huge football guy, dude. So I don't. If we lose everybody when football starts, I'll be here, dude. It's not a big deal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big football guy either. If it doesn't have ice skates and a puck, I probably won't watch it all that much.
Flying V.
Yes, that's correct. Exactly right. Good to have you back, buddy. Thanks for being here for sure. Mr. Chris, always love having you here, man. Your takes on movies and everything is just on point all the time. Really, really appreciate that. Anything coming up for you? You mentioned the movie show on Collecting Weekly. I feel like it's not getting the traction yet that it deserves, but keep pushing because it's a great show, at least from the first episode that I got a chance to watch. Today is going to be Alien Romulus while I play Fallout later. I'm going to put you guys on in the background for sure. But yeah, anything coming up for you, buddy, that we can look forward to?
Yeah, man. Just I actually just put together the playlist for that on the CW channel. We got 8 episodes of CW Movie Night, and yeah, that last one we had good old Mike Sith Scale Collector that you guys know. He sat in for Thomas, who was a little under the weather. But yeah, we should have Classy back on our next episode to cover the fascinating film Barbarella. If you ever, 1968 classic, if you ever seen that. But and then check out Small Talk this coming Thursday
on Collecting Weekly.
You got it.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Thanks for being here. Definitely check out Collecting Weekly YouTube channel. They're doing great things over there. Lots of different variety of content, that's for sure. Shocking comment I just read here from Ryan Dean, our channel member, and I shouted you out earlier, buddy, because I forgot to put you on our slide, but you'll get on there for next week. He says, yo, hope you're doing well. I had my collection in a U-Haul storage room that got raided and robbed last week. So I might be ending my 1/6 scale journey and still just processing it. Dude, that is freaking devastating. I am so sorry to hear about that. That is awful. It hurts my faith in humanity a little bit. Not to end on a sour note by any stretch, but my goodness, people that can do that to other people are just like, screw those people. Honestly, screw those people. So, dude, my thoughts, well wishes go out to you. Hopefully, you'll still continue to join us at least for 6 scale discussions. But trying to rebuild is impossible to imagine. I can imagine at this point. So all of us here, I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we love you, buddy. Sorry for your loss, man. That's fucking horrible. That's awful. I would be devastated. I don't know if I could. There's no way I could rebuild my collection. I've been at it for 14 years. Where would you even start? So, dude, wild. But other than that, of course, well wishes to you, good sir. If you are joining in, watching either live or on the replay, you're already part of the Ben Thomas Show family. But if you have, for some reason, not had a chance to hit the free subscribe button yet, definitely appreciate it. Right now, the channel is on its way to 23,000 subscribers, and we just crossed the 10.7 million viewership mark. So it's wild to me. My first video, I got 33 views on it. The fact that we're well over 10 million now is insane. And honestly, the support from you guys week over week is literally what gets me out of bed. I didn't want to do the show this morning when I got up. I was tired, I was cranky, and I was like, I knew people were waiting for me, and it made me rally, and I'm in so much better of a mood now that I got nuts with you guys here in the show. But of course, as always, with that being said, Eddie, we got nuts. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Because subscribing makes you feel good.
Where should I go? What should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.